Hello everyone, welcome to the very first end-to-end deep learning session. My name is Meera and I'm the Partner Account Manager for Zoho Creator. Joining me today in the session is Abhinaya and Surinder from the Partner Solutions and Training team. They will be taking you through the product side of the session today. The end-to-end deep learning session is focused to provide anyone who's trying to learn more about low-code application development, a well-rounded session on Zoho's low-code platform, which is Zoho Creator. Over the next 2 days, Abhinay and Surendra will be taking you through all the different components and the key features of Zoho Creator. Before we start the session, a quick few housekeeping rules. All attendees will be on mute, but you can use the questions tab, which you see towards the left side of the panel, to ask any questions that you have. We have other trainers who will be answering all your questions, so please drop in any questions that you have in the questions tab. We'll be using a mix of presentations as well as the platform which is Zoho Creator to demonstrate the session today. So the trainers will be switching back and forth between the presentation and the product itself. We also have some polls and surveys that will be sent your way during the session. This will help us prepare our content, which will be directly, relevant to you. So please do feel free to participate, and you will find the links as and when the trainers share that with you. So please do participate in them. Let's start by taking a look at the agenda for today's session. In today's session, we will be walking you through the following topics. So we would start out with a little background about Zoho and Zoho's applications, introduction to Zoho Creator, and then we'll be moving forward with the components of Zoho Creator, field and field properties, lookup and subforms, form properties, smart import to build an application, workflows, introduction to Deluge, which is the proprietary language that is used on Zoho Creator, as well as a lot of Zoho applications, integration tasks, and ending it with creator integration using OAuth. So these are the different topics that would be covered. I'll be starting with the overview of Zoho and the brief introduction of Creator. So let's start with a brief introduction of Zoho and what we deliver, right? So the company was founded in 1996 as AdventNet and later branded to Zoho in 2006. We are a privately held company with primary focus to develop quality and affordable software applications for every business. Zoho can be called the operating system for a business. So at Zoho, we offer a complete suite of business collaboration productivity applications. And some of our applications include CRM, custom support, Office Suite, email hosting, project management, accounting, and custom applications. Most of our applications are seamlessly integrated with each other to ensure that your data is easily accessible across different applications. We want to ensure that our customers will be able to focus on their businesses while we take care of the business operations with these applications. At Zoho, we hit the 60 million mark of customers in 2020 and is ever growing after that as well. We are a company which has been around for more than 24 years, and we have a suite of, like I said, not 55, in fact, we have 60 plus applications currently, and each day there are more applications that are being added to our suite of products. We have presence in 195 plus countries and have 10,000 plus employees, which are a part of the organization, and all of them are spread across different regions, and the development center is mostly based in India, in Tamil Nadu. So this is a sample of like our global footprint. We have offices across regions and also presence in most of the major markets of Zoho. So even in Brazil, let's say in Africa, we have people who work from there if we don't have an office, but we do have offices across as well. One major focus that Zoho has as a company in its core value is research and development. So we believe in building sustainable solutions for long term. So our investments in data centers across the globe is, one example of that. So we have data centers in different regions. We have in US, we have in EU, India, Australia, and in China. And in each of these locations, we have a primary data center as well as a backup disaster recovery data center as well. So having spoken about the Zoho offering, like you can see, there are different suite of products that are there for from Zoho as an offering, and each of the applications solve a particular problem or a problem statement in the organization or a specific requirement. But what if these off-the-shelf products are not enough, and if you want to have something which is specifically built for your a business, what will you do? So that is where a custom application come into picture. So custom applications help you build applications that are unique to your business needs. But there are some challenges which are there in the traditional app building approach. One, it is definitely resource intensive. You will need multiple teams to build the application. You will need a lot of effort and time to build such solutions. You need extensive coding if you're building it on full stack. There are investment needs for infrastructure and setup and maintenance, etc., that needs to be done. There is a lot of challenges in terms of integration and also expanding it. So as the business grows, if you want to expand the full stack developed application, it would need even more effort and resources as well. So these are some of the challenges that comes with traditional custom app development. A great alternative that helps you address all of the above issues is what we call a low-code application development platform. So what these platforms allow you to do is it allows you to build custom application using a low-code to a no-code drag and drop interface. It abstracts and to an extent remove the deployment complexity of any application. A few reasons why companies are adopting low-code are like I mentioned, there is a substantive reduction in the cost. It's very easy to deploy, and it reduces the time, very much, and also the app backlog is reduced and increased ROI, because you will be able to build multiple applications that help different part of the organization, and it also gives the employees itself an ability to build and extend the application. So that is definitely the reason why low code is here to stay. Analysts like Forrester and Gartner also predict that by 2024, almost 65 above percentage of custom applications will be built through low code, and low code is definitely here to stay. So that brings us to the topic of discussion today, which is Zoho's low code application development platform, which is Zoho Creator. So Zoho Creator is a scalable low-code platform which allows its users, right from non-developers to citizen developers, even to a professional developer, to build custom web and mobile applications, and also to extend any existing application, be it Zoho or third-party, and integrate with any other application, and to form an ecosystem of integrated applications. We have on Zoho Creator, it allows you to abstract 90% of the code. So you don't have to worry about the network, server, or database layers, or even an app server layer. All you have to focus on is mostly the business logic behind it. So that saves a lot of time for you as a developer. On Zoho Creator, we have built 7 million plus applications so far, and we have 13,000 plus customers who are using it across different countries. Let us look at some key features of the product. So first one is definitely the visual deployment. It has a drag and drop builder and a UI-based workflow setup. This will help you build very powerful workflows with very simple steps. The second one is simplified integration. So Zoho Creator supports open REST APIs, and any third-party application that support REST API can be easily integrated. And it also has inbuilt integrations as well as native integrations for payment gateways, logistics service providers, and also authentication services. So this makes the integration process very, very simple. Um, Next is instant deployment across devices and channels. So unlike a traditional software application where you have to take care of the deployment as a separate step, on Creator, the minute you build the application, it is ready to deploy. You don't have to do any further steps to ensure it reaches the customer. It's ready, ready-made and deployed already. It is multi-device and platform compatible. So every application that we build on the web is automatically optimized for smartphone and tablet. You can also have an Android as well as an iOS application, native mobile app, or even a progressive web app. There are 80 plus different controls that allows you to customize the mobile and the tablet app and making it more intuitive for the user, be it an action on the left swipe or long press. So all that can be easily customized using Zoho Creator. When it comes to security and scalability part, like I said, all of it is taken care by Zoho itself. So you don't have to worry about how you can scale the product. It's easily scalable, and you can build on top of the product easily and extend your application. We also have Zoho's AI tool called Zia that comes into play even on Creator. There are features like keyword sentiment analysis, OCR, object detection, phone number parsing, and also predictions that you can make use of. You would see AI tool coming into play at different components as well while you import some data into Creator to create a form. So in all these different areas, you will be able to see this AI tool coming into picture. Analytics and report is definitely one major part of having any custom application. So for this, we have inbuilt component called report, which allows you to build different types of reports. I think there are almost 8 types, which includes pivot, chart, and table, which again has many other possibilities that brings into the picture. On top of that, we also have for advanced analytics, Zoho Analytics product, which can be integrated easily with Zoho Creator. Zoho Creator also supports SDK, Java, Node.js on top of the Deluge framework, which helps you ensure that the UI and the features the way you want is available on Creator. We also recently added this on-premise feature, keeping in mind that we want to extend to these segments like government and healthcare, and also compliance, wherein it becomes important for organizations to ensure the data stays within their ecosystem. So for that, we also have an on-premise feature that is available on Creator. Let us look at some common use cases. So while I mentioned these are the different features, I want to tell you some examples of where Creator fits in. This is again just a sample, but the possibilities are endless with Zoho Creator. One major area where we use Creator is the business process automation. So be it an approval process, budget approvals, claim approvals, some kind of submissions or reviews. For all these use cases, you can use Zoho Creator. You can also use Creator to extend any critical systems that you have, be it an ERP or a CRM solution that you have. So we have a feature called the customer portal, which extends your solution to external vendors and distributors or suppliers or any other stakeholders that are there. So that feature allows you to extend any existing critical systems that your customer may have. Next one is mobility and collaboration. Like I mentioned, because Creator has a mobile first feature, it allows you to build application which would help to ensure that the customers can use it while they are on the go. So such as site inspections, field service agents, all these kind of use cases can be covered through Zoho Creator. And of course, legacy app modernization. So when you have legacy systems in place and when you touch that ceiling of not being able to extend them and adapt them to the newest requirements and to integrate it with other applications, that's definitely some place that Creator comes in. It allows you to move from such legacy apps to a very modern, scalable application. These are some of the top brands that are using our platform. So that's about the overview of Zoho Creator. Now Abhinaya will be taking you through the different components and the rest of the topics regarding the product. Like I mentioned, if you have any questions, please do drop in the questions test session, and we will be answering it for you.
So thanks, Mira, for comprehending perfectly on the low-code efficacy. So without any further delay, we'll get started. Now, I'll just share my screen. Just let me know if it is visible. Yeah, okay, perfect. So now let's get started. So I'm Abhinaya Kannan, and I'll be taking you through the basic concepts of Creator. Following that, Surendra will be taking you through the advanced concepts of Creator. Now coming to the basic concepts. So as of Creator is concerned, we have four major components. So one is a form, another is a report, third one is a page, and fourth one is a workflow. So we should be focusing more on these components. So coming to the first component, that is a form. So a form is nothing but it is an interface to collect data from the user. So it helps in interaction between the user and an application that you create within the Zoho Creator application. So the data that you submit within the form will be residing within the form itself. So form is similar to the tables that you create in the traditional development approach. Form is similar to the tables. And the next component that we would be looking at is a report. So we have submitted the data through the form, right? Now we have the collection of data and we wanted to view the data. So report is where we will be viewing the data that is being submitted through the form. Okay. So coming to the next concept, that is page. So you have the collection of data, and the company's CEO or the higher authority wants to have an insight of the organization or a detailed overview of the organization in a single screen with the visual components, similar to the dashboard or a business intelligence report. So with pages, you can achieve this. So pages are really visually intuitive, and with pages, you can pages has got different elements like graphs, bar charts, pie charts. You can create bar charts, pie charts. You can embed the reports and forms into the pages, and you can. It's almost similar to the dashboard or the business intelligence page that we create. And coming to the concept of workflow. So, in the traditional approach, we would be writing all the business logics within a function, right? So, within Creator, here with workflow is a place where we would be writing all the simple and the complex business logics. So, coming to the form. So this is a form builder and this is the layout. On the left hand side, you can see the basic fields, and in between is a form layout where you can drag and drop all these fields. And on the right hand side, you have the field properties. So every time when you drag and drop the field properties would get enabled. And here you can see the form name, and coming to the view, this is how the form view looks like in the access mode. So this is the report view. Once you submit the data, as I told you, it gets a report gets generated automatically. And here is what you can see the report. This is how the report looks like. So with Zoho Creator, you can create 8 different types of reports. One is list, pivot chart, pivot table, spreadsheet, Kanban, calendar, timeline, and map. So in tomorrow's session, we will be explaining and detailing about each of these types. Coming to the dashboard, as I told, it's like a visual component. We can create pie chart, bar chart. You can add the report. You can embed the forms into the pages. So this is one of the components of Creator. And here is a workflow screen, wherein, as I told you, all the business logics, the complex one and the simpler ones, can be written within the workflow, right? So now let me get into the application. First, we'll be going in detail about the forms. That is the first component of Creator. Okay. So once you log in with your credentials, the Zoho Creator credential, this is the page where you will be landing to. So I'm within abhinaya.kg plus T0 at zohotest.com. And within my Zoho creator credentials, that is my account, I've created multiple applications. And here you would be able to see all the applications that are owned by me and all the applications that has been shared with me by other users. So other users would have, who has the Zoho creator credentials or account, would also create application and they can share with us. So those applications would be appearing within shared with me option. And if shared with my groups, so the if I belong to a group, and if an application has been shared within the group, then I would be able to see that when I click on this shared with my groups. And these are the workspaces that I belong to. So, and this page, we call it as a dashboard or app deck. So within Zoho Creator, we can create applications in 3 different ways. So one is that there is an option on the top right corner that is new application. When you click on this new application, it will take me to the page where you would be able to create application from scratch. Okay, and there are options to use the pre-made applications. So here we have segregated the applications, that is the pre-made applications based on the domain. When you click on this information technology, all the relevant applications to information technology will get displayed, like IT asset tracker, support desk, project tracker, time tracker, bug tracker. And when you click on this business, you will be able to see all the business related applications. And when you get into sales, marketing, education, based on the domains and verticals, you would be able to find the pre-made applications. So there is an option called install this application. You can go ahead to install the application directly. So I'll just show you a sample on how an application can be installed. So I'm just going to update this admission management. So this is initializing the setup. So this will create the application automatically. Once this is installed, we can go ahead to use the application as such, or you can make changes within the application. So as you can see, we have this dashboard page. Within admissions, we have different forms like start new admission, and we have reports like upcoming admissions, open enrollment, and we have other options like having applying for the admission, doing assessments, final list, and you can have the candidate registrations done over here. And this is the basic form structure. So within this candidate registration, you could see the name, email address, phone number, and portal permission. So here, while you install the application, on the top right corner, you would be able to see edit this application. Now we are into the live mode of the application. Okay, so this edit access would be available only for the developers and for the admin users. So once you edit this application, it will take you to the form building mode. So developer or the licensed user, the admin, would be able to create the forms. They can create reports, they can create the workflow, apply the workflow logics, so they can play around the application. So with the pre-made applications, we would be able to, along with the existing field, we would be able to add other fields as well. So I'm just giving it as additional information. So I'll be able to add a field, and I can do any sort of customizations within this pre-made applications. So while taking you through building an application from scratch, I'll be explaining everything in detail. So it's just to show that we can make use of the pre-made application if it satisfies the requirement that you get from the customer. So the next method of creating an application, I'll just go to the dashboard page again. So another option is using import a file, which we call it as a smart import. So smart import option is like you have your applications built in the legacy system, okay, and you've exported all the data into your Excel or from your database, and you have all the data within your Excel file. Now, if you wanted to create an application with the Excel data that you have, that is, if you wanted to migrate the data, then you can go for this smart import option. So this also I'll be explaining in a while. Before that, we would be building an application from scratch. So for that, just click on New Application and Create from Scratch. I'm going to give an application name. So let me name the application as Zilka Learning. And when I hit on this Create, it will take me to a page where I'll be able to create the form. So this is the page that I'll be landing to. From this page, I'll be able to create forms. So as I told, forms are similar to the tables that you create with the conventional approach. So I'm just going to create a new form. So when I click on this new form, so you can create the form from here, or on the top left corner, you can see the plus button, right? So from this plus button, you'll be able to create the form. So there are different ways in which you can create form. One is that you can create a form from scratch, and if you have the data within your Excel sheet, and you can import the data and create a form, and this is another method. So there are pre-made templates that are available which you can make use of. So I'll just click on this. So these are the pre-made templates. So within booking, we have appointment booking, cab booking, conference booking. With respect to IT category, we have asset request, bug tracker, employee form. So based on the category, you can choose the template and use it as per the requirement. And you can as well make the modifications within the template as well. So the next option is integration. So integration, if you wanted to connect to a external service, to look up to the data into an external service, then you would go with this integration option. So let's just go to building a form from scratch. I'm going to create a blank form. So let me name the form as sample form 1. So this is the form builder, wherein on the left-hand sides, you would be able to see the field palette, right? From the field palette, I'll be able to drag and drop the fields into the builder or the layout. So here, the field palette, within the field palettes, we can see 4 subdivisions. One is the basic field, and another is advanced field. So third one is a special field, and fourth one is a AI related fields. So under basic fields, we have name, email address, phone number, single line, multi-line. Under advanced field, we have a set of options available. So I'll be explaining on each of these fields and its category. So let's first drag and drop get into the basic fields and drag and drop few options available. So let's use the first field, which is the name field. When you drag and drop a field, on the right hand side, the field properties will get enabled automatically. Okay, so on the left hand side, you have the field palette. On the right hand side, you have the field properties when you drag and drop a field. And on the top right corner, you will be able to see a gear icon, the setting icon. So when you click on that, you will be able to add the form properties. So field properties, form properties, and the field palette. So coming to the first field, that is the name field. Name field within Creator, we call them as a composite field. So the reason being, this is like a combination of multiple fields. Say, for example, if you take name would have the first name. It could be the combination of first name and last name. You should be able to add prefix and suffix to it. So we call it as a composite field. So there are few field properties that are related to this particular field. Here we have this field name and a field link name. So field name is nothing but it is a label, the name that would appear in the live mode, the label that you're giving to each field. So here I'll be able to change the field name. Say, for example, if I wanted to change it to customer name, I can change it to customer name. So here the field link name is a unique name that is assigned to each field. And this is the name that will be used within the Zoho Creator script. That is within the workflows and functions. This is the name that we would be referring to, okay, in the backend. So this should be unique within the application. And this can have underscore, and it is a combination of the characters. And coming to the validation part, so if you wanted to make this field to be mandatory, just enable this mandatory option so that it will be mandated. While you're submitting the form, if you're not keying in the customer name or the value, then it would prompt for an error message asking you to enter the value. So coming to the display field, it's a combination of these four fields: prefix, first name, last name, and suffix. So in the display, what are the fields that you wanted to display? Is it just the first name? First name comes by default. You can enable last name, prefix, and suffix, or you can disable it as per the requirement. And coming to the other properties, as of now, I've enabled first name and the last name. So coming to the data privacy. So if you wanted to safeguard or protect the personally identifiable information, then you would have to enable this data privacy, contains personal data. The personal data could be an email address, or it could be a name of your customer, or it could be the phone number. All the personal data, if you feel it is a personal data, then you can tag them as the personal data. In the access level, we would be able to define if this data is accessible to the user, or we should set any restriction to it. So this is relevant to the GDPR compliance. So if it is a GDPR compliance, you can tag them as a contains personal data field. And within the reports, and if you're using it within the API, then you can make sure, or you can set an access control for this particular field, whichever you're tagging as contains personal data. So coming to the data security, so certain fields can be encrypted at the front end. So as Zoho Creator is concerned, there are two levels of encryption that is being handled. One is encryption during transit, and another is encryption during rest. So encryption during transit, that is when the data is getting transferred from one application to another application, or from one service to another service, or from a website to a server. So we will have to ensure that it is being protected, right? So in those cases, what we do is we will the encryption during transit happens automatically at the backend. But when the data is residing within your database, or within the hard disk, or any media device, you should make sure that it is being encrypted, right? So that is when we go with the concept of encryption at rest. So for few other fields, we have this encryption property enabled. I'll be explaining on that. So show fields to. Here there are two options: show fields to everyone and show fields to admin only. Here you're setting access control. So this field should be visible to everyone, or should it be visible only to the admin? You're defining this. So when you're setting only to the admin, only the admin will be able to see the field. And here, when you I've just opened the data types of the Zoho Creator field. Here you can see that name field is it comes in under the category called text. So you can add description and also the tooltip or help text to your field that you're dragging and dropping. Okay. So these are a few common properties that you would be able to see for most of the fields that is available in the field palette. Okay, coming to the email. So let's drag and drop a few similar fields. So here you would be able to see that name and address are the composite fields. When you take address, since it is a combination or the blend of multiple fields, address 1, address 2, city, state, postal code, and country, I'm calling it as the composite field. So let's just drag and drop all the similar fields, and let's get into the live mode and see how it works. Okay. So we've set one field to be mandatory. When I get into address, you would be able to see other few properties related to it. Here we have this capture geo coordinates, right? So when you enable this, automatically the lat-lon will be captured. When you give the address, the latitude and longitude will be captured automatically. And if you wanted to adjust the location on the map, you can enable this option. So that while you get into the address field, you would be able to adjust the geo coordinates on the map. And you can tag that if it is a personally identifiable information, then you can tag it to be contains PII data. So again, other properties are similar to what we discussed in the name field. So let's just take it to the live mode. Now I'm in the edit mode. When I click on this, access this application, it will take me to the live mode. So this is how it looks in the live mode. I've added first name and last name, and the address is a composite field, which is a combination of all these fields. So whichever I want to disable, I can disable it from the form layout. So let me just add the name. I'm just adding. I'm not giving the last name. So let me add few addresses. And if I try to submit the data, it will show invalid entries found, since I've set this to be mandatory and I've enabled the last name as well. I'm giving it as Michelle John and I'm submitting. So once you submit the data, on the left-hand side, you can see that a form got created automatically, right? And below that, you can see the sample form report. So once you create a form, a report gets generated automatically. The data that you submit through the form, you can view it within the report. Okay. So coming back to the layout. So one I'll be opening in the edit mode and one will be in the live mode. So I'll access this and I'll open it in the live mode. So the next field is the email field. So with respect to the name field, it will accept up to 255 characters. Okay. And with respect to the email field, I'm just getting into the email field. With respect to email field, we can see few other properties apart from what we saw for the composite field. So one is setting no duplicate values to true. So when you're enabling this no duplicate values, so it will not allow the duplicate values to be submitted. And you can set the initial value to be the login user ID. So it could be, say for example, I'm setting it as abhinya.kg plus t0@zohotest.com. This as an initial value. Or what I can do is, I also have options to add Zoho's variable. That is the login user ID or the admin user ID. So if a person is logging, if a user is logging in into the account, then this field would contain the login user ID if I enable this. And here I'm setting the character limitation here. It'll allow up to 255 characters. Okay. So if I give it as say 80, this field will accept 80 characters to the maximum. And here we have options to encrypt the email field. Say, for example, if I'm enabling this option, this data will get encrypted automatically. It'll take a few seconds for the encryption to be processed. So during that time, the application will not be accessible. It'll take few microseconds. So this encrypt data is encryption at rest, that is at the database level. So encryption during transit happens automatically at the backend. So another data security is that uh, contains health information. So this is with respect to the HIPAA compliance. So if you have any healthcare related, if you're building any healthcare related application, it would contain all the sensitive data, right? So if you wanted to protect those electronically protected information, then what you have to do is you'll have to enable this contains health information. So once you enable this encryption of that particular, it'll take you to the page where it'll ask for the encryption automatically. Okay. So that is another option. Now the email field is encrypted. And coming to the user input, here we have options to input via the mobile. We can enable the QR code and the barcode option. So once you enable this QR code option, you can get you can see multiple options like get input before the form is being displayed and disable manual input. So through the QR code, you will be able to input your information. And so these are the mobile related properties. So we also have options to input the data using the QR code and also the barcode. So other properties are similar to what we saw. And let's get into this encryption a little detail. Now we have encrypted the data, right? So I'm getting into the live mode. So here I'm giving the name. The address field is not set to be mandatory. Now, while giving the email address, it'll check for it'll validate the format. If I'm not giving it in the right format, say if I'm giving just .com, if I'm submitting, it'll show you that it is not in the right format. So I'm giving the email address and I'm submitting. So if I'm giving the same email address, system would not accept as we have given, as we have enabled no duplication. So within the reports, when you get into the reports, this email field is actually encrypted, right? So I'm getting into the report, edit mode. So when you get into this email, since we have encrypted it, we have options to display this without mask, or it'll show you the list of options. If you have to mask the characters within the email, or if you do not want to mask, you can go for this option. If you wanted to show first few characters within the encrypted data, then you can go for this option. And if you wanted to show last few characters, then you can go for this option. So these are the encryption properties that are available within the configuration of the report. So I got into the edit mode of the report and I went into configuring option, configure fields for web and open report properties. So this would also be explained in detail by tomorrow. I just wanted to take you through the masking features, how the encrypted field would be masked. So what I'll do is I'll just encrypt the field and I'll mask it. And I'll show you show value on click. So when you click, if the value needs to be enabled, you can just enable this option. Now this is set to be true. So you can see that the field values is masked, and when I click on that, it will be enabled since we have enabled that option. So this is about the encryption. Again, I'll get into the form builder. So there are a few other fields like phone number. So with respect to phone number, you would be able to give the standard phone formats, phone number formats. So here, okay, on the right hand side, you can see that the country code options. So you can choose the country. If I'm choosing the country to be India, and if I'm configuring. So by default, you can set the value to be India here. And let me add United States. Few other options. If I'm configuring the country code options here, those country codes would be appearing, and you can also set the default country code. So it doesn't mean that a system wouldn't allow you to add any other phone numbers other than the default one. You would be able to set other country codes as well. So let me just take you to the live mode now. Here you can see that by default, it is showing India, United States, and Bulgaria. And by default, we set the country to be India. So it is showing the country code as +91. And based on the default country that you are choosing, it would display the country code. And based on this, number of digits would also appear based on the country that you're choosing. So coming to, so let me just take off this option so that everything will get populated. All the countries. And if I wanted to set no duplicates, I can enable the no duplicate value. Coming to the next field property, that is single line and multi-line. So if you wanted to add any description to your application form fields, then you can go with this multi-line or the single line. So the single line would allow 255 characters, and this multi-line would allow 64 KB. So I'm just dragging and dropping this single line and multi-line field. With this single line field, again, you will be able to see the common properties like setting the validation, setting the initial value, here setting the character maximum. So if I'm setting the character maximum to be 10, then while accessing the application, it would not allow more than 10 characters to be keyed. So coming to other properties like encryption, if you're tagging this field to be contains health information, so coupled with that, it will ask if you have to encrypt the data. If you enable yes, it would encrypt the data along with tagging this data as a contains electronically protected health information. I'm giving it as no. So as well, you can enable the QR code and barcode option. So while you're accessing this form via mobile, then you would be able to key in the values using the QR code and the barcode option, whichever you have enabled. So here the field type is single. From the single line, you can convert it to a multi-line or a rich text field. So this is what you can see. The appearance is actually the field type. And the field size, you can set it to be small, medium, large, or you can set the value. So I'm setting it to be 500 pixels on how it should look like. And we can as well add a tooltip. Say this is a single line field, or this allows a maximum of 10 characters. And with respect to the multi-line field, which is similar to single line, just that you would be able to add more descriptive data into the multi-line field, like comments or notes can be added to the multi-line field. It would accept up to 64 KB of data. So you can see the similar properties here. I'm setting the height to be, say, 300. And from the multi-line, you would be able to convert this into a rich text field. Let me also add a similar field from the advanced field, which is a rich text, so that you'll be able to see the difference. So let me just reload it. I'm dragging and dropping the rich text field again. So it's from the advanced field, but just to show the difference. Or let's just get into the live mode, and I'll show you how the single line and the multi-line looks like. So I'm getting into the live mode. Now we have set the single line, the pixel to be 300, the 500 pixel. So, and here we have set the tooltip. This allows a maximum of 10 characters. So if I tend to add more than 10 characters, this is a sample. So this will not allow me to type more than 10 characters. This included all the space. So here I've set the length and height to be 300 pixels. So it's showing the multi-line field with 300 pixels as height. So this is how the single line and multi-line will look like. And rich text will be of use when you wanted to format the text that you're adding. So if you wanted to make it bold or italize, or if you wanted to add any link to it, if you wanted to add any HTML tags to it, then you can go with the option of rich text. So let me show other fields meanwhile until it gets loaded. So we have other similar properties like date and time. So I'll drag and drop this date field. And let me also drag and drop the time field. So this would show me the date picker in the live mode. So I can set the initial value, and I can set the initial date here. And we would also be able to pick up the Zoho variable. By default, it has a Zoho.currentDate, which will pick up the server time and date, which is available within the settings. And here within this date field, I'm setting the field size to be small. So I'm choosing the current date, Zoho.currentDate. And here we have the time picker. When I drag and drop this time picker, it'll show me you can set the initial value. So I'm choosing it as 00315. And also it'll ask me what are the allowed hours. So I wanted to allow the user to choose between 0 to 12. So if I set the values here, it would not allow the user to choose more than this value. Or I can choose it to be 24. I can choose the 24 hours format. So here I can choose the minutes interval. I'm just choosing it as 10 minutes. And if you wanted to show the seconds, you can enable this option. So let's just see how this time picker works in the live mode. So here by default, it is loaded the current date and time. The time we have set an initial value and it has loaded the initial value. And with respect to date, it has loaded the current date, and we would also have the date picker here, from where you can choose the date. And you can as well encrypt this field. You can tag them as contains personal data. So these are the common properties applicable to this field as well. So coming to other field properties like drop down, radio button, multi-select and checkbox. So if you have multiple choices and if you wanted to go with a few of these choices, if you have such field, then you can go with drop down, radio button, multi-select or checkboxes. So coming to the drop down and radio button, which are similar, which carries a similar property, I'm choosing drop down and radio button. Amongst multiple choices, if you wanted to go with any one of the choice, say for example, if you're running a questionnaire or a quiz, and if you wanted the user to pick just one value out of multiple choices that you have displayed, then you can either go with the drop down or the radio button option. So when you click on this drop down, it'll show you the choices to be added. Here I can just interchange the values. So here there is an option to rename it. I'm giving it as question 1, question 2, and Q3. Similarly, if you have the product categories or if you have the countries or months or any such master data, you can add those a pick list into the drop down. So here I can add more values and I can as well delete the existing value. So here, if you wanted to arrange this in a chronological order, then you can enable this alphabetical order. And when I enable this allow other choice, other than what is being added here, it will also allow other choice to be added by the user. So there is an advanced option here, wherein if you have a predefined choices like gender, age, employment, income, these are the predefined values that are available. You can go ahead to choose the predefined values as well. And if you have these choices within the clipboard, you can copy those choices and you can paste it here. Okay. So let me just get into this field type. Here you can see that the drop down will, apart from it's a drop down field, you can change this to the radio button. Since the radio button and drop down carries a similar property. So within the drop down also, it would allow you to choose only one value, and within the radio button also, it would allow you to choose only one value. So you can convert the drop down field into a radio button or the radio button into a drop down. So you can change the appearance here. And coming to the radio button, similarly, you have all the choices. You can rename the choice. You can just like change it to change your order, and you can delete the values wherever needed, and you can add other choices when needed, and you can set the validation as well. So coming to the multi-select option and the checkbox. So I'm just dragging and dropping this multi-select option and the checkbox. So since both these fields carries a similar property. So with if you have to go with choosing multiple choices, then what you do is you can go with the multi-select option or you can go with the checkbox, right? So here I can add, similar to the drop-down field, I can as well add or rename the values here. So within the quiz, if you wanted the user to choose multiple options, say I'm adding the countries, say for example, India, Australia, Canada, and also within the multi-select I've added, similarly to the checkbox, it is choice 1, choice 2, and choice 3. So now let me get into the live mode and show you how this drop down and the choice field values works. So we added Q1, Q2, Q3. If you click on this other choice, it will allow you to add the other choice here. And radio button, we just added choice 1, choice 3, and choice 2. Here within the multi-select, it will allow me to choose multiple choices. Similar to that, since it carries the same property, I'll be able to choose multiple choices from the checkbox. So let me just add a sample name. And let me submit information. So every time when a record gets generated, a unique ID will be generated, and this unique ID will be of 18 digit. Okay, so let me just add that ID. I'm just configuring another field within the report. So whenever you submit the form data, here you would be able to see the 18-digit number, which is a unique record ID, and this will be unique throughout all the Zoho applications. Okay, so this is for your information. So this is one of the major concept. ID is one of the major concepts as of Zoho Creator is concerned. And coming to the other properties, so we were adding the we covered almost all the fields within the basic field, and number field would allow all the numbers or digits. You can add up to 19 digits here, and you can set the initial value as well. So if I set the maximum number of digits to be 10, it is like I'm setting the limitation. So it will not allow me to add more than 10 numbers here. So coming to the advanced fields, now we're done with the basic fields. Let's go to the advanced field now. Within this advanced field, we have decision box, rich text, URL, image, percentage, currency, and all that. So let's see that one by one. I'm just dragging and dropping this decision box, and also the rich text. So decision box is similar to the true or false value that you choose. So it will accept only the Boolean values. Wherever you wanted to add the true or, go with the true or false value, then you can go with the decision box here. So I'm clicking on this decision box. Again, you can set the initial value. So based on the decision box, the Boolean value that you're setting within the decision box, you can as well write the workflow logics. And coming to the rich text field, here, as I told you, it is similar to the multi-line field, just that it is like a descriptive field with the formatting option. So let me show you how this appears in the live mode. I'm setting the height to be 200 pixels and the field size to be medium. And here are the toolbar options, the formatting options that are available. I can enable the options that I wanted the user to pick. So once this is enabled in the live mode, every time when you add a field, it gets automatically updated in the live mode. So we added a number field and also the rich text field, right? Decision box, rich text, and number field. So by default, it has been set to true. You can as well enable or disable this option. And when you take the rich text field, you can see the toolbar options that we have enabled. So this is a sample application. This would also accept up to 64 KB. I wanted to bold, or I wanted to add a hyperlink to it. I can set the web address here, or I can set the email address and subject to it. So I can do formatting to the description that I'm giving it within this field. So coming to the decimal, percentage, and the currency field. Let me just drag and drop these fields. So wherever we wanted to deal with the amount or price or money related data, then we go with the currency field, right? So with the currency field, you would be able to see all the currency types: Indian currency, United States, Afghanistan, all the currencies would get displayed. So you can set the base currency here and you can perform the transactions. I'm setting the base currency to be United States, and here, here is the display format. How do I want the currency to be displayed? So I'm choosing the default format here, and I'm setting the maximum digits and also the decimal point. If I set the decimal point to be 2, after the decimal point, it would allow 2 digits to be added. Here, maximum of 10 and the decimal point to be 2. So from the currency field, I will be able to convert it to the decimal field or the percentage field. So now, coming to the percentage. Okay. So if you're dealing with any percentage related values, if you wanted to calculate the percentage, then you can just make use of this percentage field. You can as well set the initial value. I'm setting the initial value to be 10. And with respect to the decimal field, this is similar to the number field, and except that it'll be in the form of decimal. And again, the maximum digits of decimal that is allowed is 19. And you can as well set the decimal points. I'm setting the decimal points to be 3. So after the decimal points, how many digits can be added is what it means. So similar property, I can set it to be the personal data. I can give the input, enable the QR code and barcode, and enable the key in the input. So we've discussed about the decimal, percentage, and the currency field. Let me get into the live mode and show you. We've set the base currency to be US dollar. That is the So we've set the percentage field to be 10 by default. This is the initial value. And after the decimal point, we have given the maximum digits to be 2. So it will allow 2 digits after the decimal point. So 2, 3, dot. If I give 3, the system will not allow, since it will accept only 2 decimal points. And again, in the decimal field as well, we have given 3 decimal points. After the decimal field, it will accept 3 values. If I give it as 2, it will accept. But if I give it as 4, the system will not allow. So after giving the name, I'll be able to submit the information. And coming to the date picker, similar to the date picker and the time picker, here it is a encapsulation of both date and time. So you would be able to choose the date and time within the date time picker. Here you can set the initial value, DD, MM, YYY format, and also the hours, minutes, and seconds. And here you can also set the allowed days. So what are the days that you wanted the user to choose? If I'm taking off this Sunday, the user would not be able to choose this particular day. Say, for example, if you wanted to allocate projects to your employees, in those cases, you will have to pick up the days, right? So in those cases, you would not be able to allocate any projects during the day Sunday. In that case, I'll be disabling this option and I'll be enabling other options. And what are the allowed hours? I'm choosing the allowed hours to be 24, 0 to 23. So I'm setting the minutes interval and I'm showing the seconds. So this is getting saved automatically. And towards the end, you would be able to see the date and the time picker. So you can see the minutes interval 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Yeah. So let me just explain you few other advanced fields, and there are two important the fields of creator, that is lookup and subform. After explaining this, let me go through. Let's go through that as well. So coming to the file upload field, let me drag and drop this file upload field. Here you would be able to upload files up to 5 MB from your system and from your mobile devices as well. So here you've given the field name, that is the label, and field link name. And here there is an option called browse option. So if your file is located within the local device, or if it is residing within the Zoho's work drive. So Zoho's work drive is a file management system where you can store all your files. And so if it is residing within Zoho's work drive, then you can go with this option. And if it is residing within the Google Docs, then you can enable this option. So it will take you to the page while choosing the file upload option. It will take you to the browse option where you can pick it up from your local computer or from Zoho work drive, and also from Google Docs. And similar to that, we have image field. So for the image, you can set the aspect ratio. So these are the set of aspect ratios that can be set within for your image. So for now, I'm choosing the standard aspect ratio. So again, if you wanted to browse your images, browse and choose your images, then you can do so by using this browse option. If it is residing within your local computer, then you can enable this option. Or if it is within any link, so if you wanted to embed any link, you can enable this option. And if you wanted to take a pic and upload it within Creator, then you can enable this option. So this will also allow up to 10 MB of data from your the PC, and from the Android devices, it would allow up to 5 MB of data. So there are other mobile related properties when you're using this image field. That is, so when this camera option is turned on, so do you want to allow to switch to the camera? And if you wanted to enable the photo gallery, you can enable this option. So if you wanted to see the preview of your image, then you can choose this preview option. So submit the form automatically after capturing, then you can enable this option. You can as well allow the annotation and enable the timer as well. When you enable the timer, it'll, after a particular time, you would be able to capture the image. If you wanted to get input before the form is displayed, then you can enable this option. These are the mobile related properties for this particular field. So here you can see the field property called target windows. So if you wanted the image to be opened in the new window or in the same window, I'm choosing as new window. So automatically when you click on this image, it will open in the new window. And you can add the title and the URL for your images that you're adding. So apart from this, you have the signature field. Say, for example, let's take an order management system wherein you have to deliver your orders to the customer, and you wanted to get acknowledgement from your customer that the product has been delivered. In those cases, what you can do is you can enable this digital signature option. So it would allow you to do the digital signature via the form. So this signature cannot be modified after. So it can be erased completely, but it cannot be modified. So let me just take you to the live mode. Here we added file upload field, image and signature, right? So when you see this file upload field, we have options to browse the files from the computer. within my local storage. When you click on this cloud option, it'll take me to the Google Docs and the Work Drive. So these are the options that I've enabled. So Zoho Work Drive is a file management system from where I can pick up the file if there is any, or I can pick it up from my Google Drive if it is available within that local storage. So there is no files as of now. So let's add it from here. I'm adding an image. So you can set the aspect ratio. By default, it is set to be 3:2. Now I'm just enabling it. You can give a title to this as steel ball. So if you wanted to give a link name or the title, so I wanted to give a title as steel ball. Then I can add the title. So coming to the signature field, I can add it and I can clear it off. After submitting it, I would not be able to modify. I'm just giving the digital signature here. So let's upload a sample file as well. And let me just add this first name since we have made it to be mandatory. I'm submitting it. So let's enable this option within the report. Only then I would be able to see the newly added field. So let me add the image field. So you can see that it will show the preview and you would also be able to download this image. This is the actual size. And if you wanted to reduce, and you can as well download and save it within your local system. So this is with respect to the image field, signature and file upload field. And coming to the audio and video field. So if you wanted to add any MP3 or the audio related files, then you can go with this audio option or the video option, like MP4 or MP3 files. You can go with this audio and video option. So here I can add up to 5 minutes. I can set the duration till which I'll have to add the audio. I'm setting it as 5 minutes, and you can set the seconds as well. And this has got the you can as well record it from your mobile devices or from your web devices. So here with the for the video, I'm giving it as 2. So I've added the audio and video file. So if I get into the live mode, I would be able to choose the audio file from the local device, and I would also be able to, there is no audio file, so I would also be able to record it via the microphone. So this option will be enabled. Similar to that, if you have the video files, it will allow the video files to be added, which has got the limitation, that is duration limitation of 2 minutes. We can as well enable this video option so that you would be able to capture the live video, and you will be able to add it to the system. So apart from that, we have this auto number field. And if you wanted to do any auto generation for your transaction, then you can go with this auto number field. You can start it from 1, or you can start it with 1001. So your transaction starts from this particular number. If I'm giving this as an order number, it could be any of your transaction numbers. So the number will get added automatically. Coming to the formula field. So instead of writing the workflow logic, so you can just quickly make use of this formula field. For example, so let me just add few other fields. I have this number field, right? So let me add the number field and also the currency field, and we'll do a multiplication. And I'll show how this is done. I've added a number field. So let me add a currency field as well. I'm just giving this to be quantity. And let's add a number currency field wherein I'm adding the price. Now, if I wanted to multiply the values that has been keyed in into quantity and price, then I can make use of the formula field. So I'm choosing quantity into price. So within this formula field, this quantity into price will get calculated, and I'm setting this to be the total. So let me just, you can perform other calculations as well, like addition, subtraction, multiplication. You can append two different string fields and into the formula field. So let me add key in values into quantity and price. So we have to make this formula field to be visible. Otherwise, it will not be visible in the form. I'm making it to be visible. So here are a few samples. You can make a sum of like the fields, and you can make the division. So here are a few samples that you can have a look at. For now, I've given quantity into input price, input.price. So let me add a new record. I'm giving the quantity to be 10, and I'm giving the price to be, say, 100. It'll automatically calculate the total to be 1000. Okay, so this is how the formula field works. This is a sample. You can just refer to the documentation. All the reference documentations will be shared by our co-trainers. You can have a look at it. So the step-by-step procedure for creating the form, application, fields and field properties, everything is available within the user guide. And so we have covered one more field is available. There is a URL. So if you wanted to add any URLs within your application form or field, then you can go with this URL field. And here you can set the limitation. I'm just dragging and dropping this URL field. Here, if I wanted to set any title for this URL, say if you wanted to add any YouTube links for the reference to your customers, then you can go with this field, and you can as well add the link name and the title to it. So again, the target window, you can choose it to be new window or the same window. Now let's move on to the two key features of Creator. There is lookup and subform. So the first one is lookup. How do we establish relationship between two forms using lookup? So in the conventional approach, you would interlink, or you would create a connection between two different modules or databases, or between two tables using the entity relationship, right? So there are different types of relationships like one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many, right? So the same can be achieved via the lookup. Lookup is similar to the entity relationship that you see with a traditional approach. So lookup is one of the fundamental and essential feature as of Creator is concerned, as it helps in connecting or interlinking data between two forms within an application, within or across applications within your Zoho Creator account. Okay, so this interlinking process is done using the 18-digit unique ID, which we call it as a record ID. So this ID, as I was telling, this will be unique throughout all the Zoho applications that you see. Okay. So coming to the types of lookup, there are three types of lookup. One is a unidirectional, second one is a bidirectional, and third one is a self lookup. So how do we achieve the one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many using the types of lookup? Let's take a look at now. Coming to the unidirectional type. So here the flow of data will be in one direction, and the control will be in one form where you're adding the lookup. So one-to-one and one-to-many falls under the unidirectional category. Coming to the bidirectional lookup category. So here the flow of control, the flow of data would be in both the direction. That is, you would have control in both the forms that you're adding the lookup, and you would also have the mutual interaction between both the forms. And the third one is a self lookup. So here the self lookup would have reference to the same form. So let me explain this in detail. Coming to the unidirectional type. Here we have, let's take a one-to-one relationship within unidirection. Okay, let's take two entities. One is a person and another one is license. So one person can be associated to one license, or a license can be associated to only one person. So this falls under the one-to-one category. So I've cited few other examples here, like student ID and student, and employee and department, citizen and SSN number, person and passport, employee and email addresses. So here the employee can be associated to only one email address, and the one email address can be associated to only one employee. It can be only unique, right? So all these comes under one-to-one category. Coming to the one-to-many relationship. So let's take class of students. So one class can have multiple students, but each student can be associated to only one class, right? So similar to that, we have a few other examples which falls under one-to-many category, like product category and product, employee and role, citizen and identity proof, organization and employees. So each organization can be associated to multiple employees, but each employee can be associated to only one organization. So this falls under one-to-many category. Coming to bidirectional lookup, which is many to many, here you would have mutual interaction between both the forms. So let's take order form and a product form. So each order can be associated to multiple products, and each product can be associated to multiple orders, right? So this falls under the many to many category. And here are other examples that falls under the same category: employees and projects, students and subjects, doctors and patients. So one employee can be associated to multiple projects, same as that one project can be associated to or assigned to multiple employees, right? So coming to the concept of self lookup. So here the self lookup is nothing but having reference to the same form. For example, so this is one of the best examples for the self lookup: employee reporting to the manager. So you have the employee database, and there is a master form. Within this employee master, you would also have another field called reporting manager. So which will have reference to the same field called employee. So the field one is employee here, and the field two would also have reference to the same field, that is employee, right? So this falls under the self lookup category. So in the demonstration, I'll be taking you through this unidirectional, bidirectional, and self-lookup concept. Under that, in one-to-one relationship, I'll be taking you through employee to department, and in one-to-many, how do we associate employee to multiple roles, and in bidirectional relationship, how do we achieve many-to-many relationship, and the self-lookup concept with the example of employee reporting to a manager. So let me get into the application and show you how this is achieved. So I'll get into a different application that I've created. So here, I have created an application called Zilker Lookup Concepts, right? So within that, I have three master forms. One is department, another is roles master, and another is a employees master, right? So within the departments master, here I have added department and branch. So let's add few data to it. Let me just get into the edit mode. I'm adding few departments and associating that to the branch. So logistics, and I'm associating it to branch 1, accounts, and I'm associating to branch 2. So these are the two fields that I've added within the form builder. Okay. So I've added both as a drop-down field, department and branch. So I also have roles master. So let's first discuss about one-to-one relationship and how it is achieved. So here I'll be associating each employee to one particular department. I also have employee details master form here, within which I have added employee name and employee number. So I'm getting into edit mode of the application and I'm getting into the employee details. So within this employee details, now I wanted to establish one-to-one relationship, that is with the department. So for that, what I'll be doing is I'm going to choose the lookup field. When I drag and drop this lookup field, it'll take me to the page. It'll take me to the pop-up page where it'll show all the applications that are available within my Zoho Creator account. I can look up to any data that is available with across applications or across, within the same application in a different form or to the same form. So now I'm choosing the same form and I wanted to look up to the different, sorry, I'm choosing the same application and a different form. So within the employee, I'm adding the department and I'm choosing the field to be displayed. So at the back end, the system will actually be looking up to the record ID that is being created. So I'll get into the department master. So each department will carry an ID. So every time when I submit the data, an ID got generated. So this is the unique record ID, purchase, logistics, accounts, and all that. So here, the reference will be to the record ID and not to the field. But I'm choosing the field to be displayed here. So I'm choosing the department. Here, the display format shows the single selection and the multiple selection. As I'm going to associate only one department to each employee, I'll be going with the drop-down field or the radio button field. So when this lookup is being enabled, it fetches all the departments. That is the ID. It'll fetch all the department by mapping to its record ID. So I'm incorporating that. I'm adding that field called department. So let's discuss on few other properties of the lookup field. When I drag and drop this lookup field, I'll be able to change the field name and also the field link name. Okay. So here you can see the display field. Since it has got reference to the ID, it'll pick up all the values from the ID. Here, you'll be able to display all the values from the ID. That is an advantage of looking up to the ID rather than looking up to the data. So here, apart from the department, what are the other fields that needs to be displayed? So here I can add branch, or I can add other system fields like added user, modified user, or any relevant data. So you can add up to 3 display fields. Okay. So let me just add the branch as well so that you'll get to know how this display fields look like. This is the preview. This is how it shows in the view. And the display type is drop down. Again, since the radio button carries the same property, you can convert the display field from drop down to radio button. And I also have other choices like allowing new entries to the master form. Say, for example, if I'm enabling this allow new entries, what happens is while keying in the data, the department within the employee master, I can add a new department within the employee master, which will get added to the department master automatically. So that is what happens when you enable this allow new entry option. And if you wanted to display in the alphabetical order, then you can enable this option. And there is also an option called set filter. If you wanted to mention any specific criteria, say for example, I wanted to display the branch one related departments, then I can set the filter criteria to be branch one. Now it has set the filter condition. So let's get into the access mode now. Okay, now you can see that each employee can be associated to an department. Now let's add an employee, and I'm associating the employee to the department. In this way, I can achieve one-to-one relationship. As I told you, at the backend, it is the ID which is getting referred and not the field. Okay, so I'll show you how this lookup field or the ID reference works. So let me quickly take into the edit mode. So as I told you, workflow is a place where we would be writing the logics, right? So this will be taken in detail, but I just wanted to show you how the record ID is stored. So within the employee details, on user input of the department, I wanted to show the ID. So when I click on this logistics department, it has to show me what is the ID of this department chosen. So on user input of department, it should show the ID. I'm creating a workflow. So here I'm showing the alert. Input dot. So let's just alert this lookup field. So let's give it as department on user input of input dot department. So when you click on this input dot department, you can see the data type to be digit, right? So since it stores the 18-digit record ID, it shows the data type to be bigit. Now I'm choosing input dot department. So when you click on this input dot, it will automatically display all the fields that are available, and you can choose one of the fields that you wanted to display. Now I'm updating. And now I'm going to choose the logistics, and it is showing the record ID. So when you get into the department's master, you would be able to see the same ID for the logistics. Here in logistics, it ends with 37. You can see this 37 here, 18-digit ID. So coming to the next concept, that is one-to-many relationship. So I'm going to take employee and roles. So one employee can be associated to multiple roles. So how do we achieve one-to-many relationship using this? I'm getting into the roles master. So let's add a few roles. I've added few into the pick list already. Adding the sales manager and the purchase manager. I've added few roles here. So here within the employee details, let's also add, I'm getting into the edit mode. And now I'll be adding the roles as a lookup field here. So I'm choosing this lookup option. And within that, I'm choosing roles. And here which field I need to display. So role name, and instead of going with the single selection, I'll be going with the multi-selection when it comes to one-to-many relationship. So I wanted to associate one employee to multiple roles. So I'm going with the concept of multiple selection. Either you can go with multi-select option or checkbox. Now I'm going with multi-select. So this field will fetch all the roles by mapping the record ID. Here, this will be the data type in department will be begin, and the data type in the roles will be a list, since it is a collection of multiple records. Okay. I've added the roles master. Here, if I wanted to display any field, I can display the field. So I'm getting into the live mode now. So for one employee, I can add multiple roles. I can associate one employee to multiple roles. I'm adding the employee name. I'm adding the employee number, and I would be able to associate this particular employee to one department and multiple roles. Okay. So the next concept, now we have seen how to achieve one-to-many relationship. Coming to the next concept, that is bidirectional relationship. Here, the mutual interaction will happen between both the forms that is interacting. Okay, that we have taken. And here, let's take the employee details itself. Here, within the employee master, you would be able to see the department that the employee is associated with and how many roles the employee has been associated with. But when you go to the department, the vice versa has to happen. So I wanted to see in a particular department how many employees are being associated, and into the roles master, that is into this particular form, I should be able to see how many employees are being associated to each role. So how do I achieve that? That is when we go with the concept of bidirectional relationship. So let us see how this is done. Now I'm clicking on this department. Okay. So here, when you scroll down, there is an option called bidirectional relationship. When you enable this option, it'll show you the fields to be related. So you wanted to associate employee and department, right? So you wanted to check who are all associated to each department. So I'm choosing employee name, and here I wanted multi-select option. Since with as with one employee with one department, there could be multiple employees. I'm choosing multi-select option. So it has created a bidirectional relationship. Coming to the roles master, the roles lookup field. Here, again, I'm going to set a bidirectional relationship, and I'm choosing the fields to be related. I'm going to associate within the roles master. I should be able to see who are all associated to each role. That is the employees associated to each role. So I'm choosing employee name and also the multi-select option. Now the bidirectional relationship is formed, and the mutual interaction would happen between both the forms. So we would have control of data in both the forms. I'll just show you a sample. When you go to employee details, you can see the employee associated to department and role. And when you get into department, you will also be able to see the association with department to employees and with roles to employees. So we have added the lookup field, but we'll have to display that lookup field inside the report. So I'm getting into configure fields, and I'm adding the employee details here. So wherever I have established the relationship, all the relevant forms will appear here. I can go ahead to choose the field. So here, let me just add it for the roles as well. Since we have established bidirectional relationship for roles as well. So within the department, here you can see the employee details, sales and purchase. And when you get into roles, you'll be able to see how many, with each role, how many employees are being associated. So let's just add one more employee into the same role. I'm choosing the role to be CFO and I'm submitting. So here within the roles master, under CFO category, you can see multiple employees. So this is the concept of bi-direction, where you can have control over both the forms. When you get into department, you will have employee details, and when you get into employee master, you would have department details. The similar one is applicable to the roles master as well. So coming to the concept of self lookup. So as I told you, reporting manager would be one of the best examples of the self lookup. So let me add a lookup field here. Employee reporting to a manager. This reporting manager would also be another employee within the organization. So I'm referring to the same form and another field within the same form. So he would be reporting to one manager. So I'm choosing single selection. So this will also be displaying the employee list. Reporting manager is the field that I'm looking up to. So when you get into the live mode of the application, you would be able to see the employee list popping up. So I can add another employee here and I can choose the reporting manager. So it could be any of the reporting managers. So hope you got a gist of like what is a lookup and how do you establish one-to-one, one-to-many and many-to-many relationship, right? So now there is another way in which you can see the data model. What are the relationship that is being established? So let's see how that is done. When you get into settings, there is an option called schema builder. So within the schema builder, if we have established relationship between two forms, then that would be appearing within the schema builder. And we would also be able to connect or interlink between two forms using the schema builder. That is, the lookup relationship can be established from here as well. Now, within the employee details and department, we have established bi-directional relationship. When you click on this, it will show you the bi-directional relationship. And also between employee and the roles, we have established bi-directional relationship. So now it shows a bi-directional relationship between employees and the roles, correct? So this is like a data model where you can go ahead and check like what are the forms that are interlinked and if it is a one-to-one or one-to-many relationship. So the next one would be, how do I fetch data within the lookup? Fetching the data within the lookup field. We've added the lookup field and how do we fetch it? So variable, this is the syntax that we would be using. So all these will be explained in detail in deluge part of the session, which will be taken in the next half. So I'll just give a basic idea about it. And in further moving forward, like this will be explained in detail. So here variable is equal to form to look up to, and here you're specifying the filter criteria and also the field that you need to look up to. Okay, so I'll just get into the workflow so that you'll be able to understand this better. Okay, I'm getting into the workflow. So I'm getting into, so what we would want to achieve is, on user input of the department, I wanted to see the branch. Okay, so I wanted to alert which branch it belongs to. So let's just take this off branch name and remove the filter criteria. Okay, Here within the department, let's just take off the filter so that it displays all the branch. And I'm also taking off this branch. So now I'm getting into the workflow. On user input of the department, I should be able to display the branch. So how do I do a fetch statement here? So there is a syntax that is available. So this is the deluge editor. And within the deluge editor, you would have all the predefined syntax. When you just type FET, it would display. And when you click on that, it does a predictive analysis and it will show you the syntax. So here I'm just setting a variable name as SNL underscore department and the form that I wanted to look up to. So I wanted to look up to the department form. I also wanted to specify the filter criteria. ID. So ID is a record ID within the department is equal to input dot ID. And within that, I wanted to take the branch. So what I've done is this is a collection variable, and I'm looking up to the department form, and I'm setting the filter criteria. So the department that is chosen, if it is equal to the ID, the current field that I'm choosing, then just display its branch. Dot branch is a field, so I'm fetching the field within the department. So when I get into access mode, I'll be able to see the department or the branch. It will show me the alert. So let's just alert this as well, L underscore department. So if I'm choosing sales, ID is equal to input dot department. So on giving the department field, it'll check if this ID is mapping into the department master and it'll fetch the relevant branch. So I'm choosing the department and it'll show it as branch 2. And if I choose some other department, it'll show the relevant branch. So this is how you fetch and display the, you will be using fetch statement within the lookup field. Okay. So this is all about the lookup field. Coming to the next concept, that is subform. So how do you establish the relationship between two forms using a subform? Now that we saw how we can set a connection or interlink between two forms within same application and between different applications, right? So the next would be, how do we establish the same using the subform? So what is a subform? So subform is nothing but a form within another form. That is, the existence of the form will be within another form. So a form in which you add the subform is called the main form. So the parent-child relationship here will be formed automatically. So let me give you an example which will give a better understanding. So let's take a restaurant management application that is being built within Zoho Creator for your company. Okay, so this restaurant management application would have different fields or different functions like adding customer details, adding order details, adding item information, and all that, right? So, as of the restaurant management application is concerned, each customer would place multiple orders, and each customer would place multiple items as an order. right? So here, multiple items needs to be associated to each order. So we would add all the order information, order number, order date, customer information, table information into the form. But that could be a scenario where we would have to add multiple items and associate to the order. So how do we achieve that? This is when we go with the concept of subform, wherein you can add all the line item details into the subform. Okay. So there are two kinds of subform. One is a blank subform, another is a existing subform. Coming to the blank subform concept. So, okay, blank subform is nothing but it is the existence of a form within another form. So let me explain you with a better example. For example, let's take an order information. Within this order information form, which is form 1, you will have to add product information as a line item. Okay, so in this case, you can add a blank subform and add fields into it. So this blank subform would be considered as one of the fields inside the main form. Okay, here the parent-child relationship would be established automatically. That is, this product information would automatically identify that order is its parent. Okay, so here you can see that. The next type is the existing subform. So what's the difference between blank subform and an existing subform? So here in form 1, you have order information, and form 2 is a different form that is available already present within your application. Okay. Now that you wanted to bring the product information that is available already into the order information. So with the existing subform concept, you can add form 2 into form 1. That is the existing subform into form 1. So here, the parent-child relationship has to be set manually. It will not be identified by the system. So parent product information is a different form. So we will have to set up the relationship manually, stating that order information, that is form 1, is its parent. Okay. So what is the advantage of using the existing subform? So the main advantage would be users can have separate view of data in the form of report. So this existing subform would be a form by itself, right? So they can have a separate view. They can customize the report layout. They can completely group or sort the data or filter the data within the report. You can get the aggregate of the data since the existing subform is a form by itself. Okay, so you can do any sort of customization within the report. So it's always the best practice to use the existing subform within your application. So let me just get into the application and I'll show you how do we add the blank subform and how do we add the existing subform. So I'll get into another application. Okay. So here there is an application called Vehicle Management System, within which I have the vendor details maintained, and I have the form called Service Existing, so which has got service name, price, and there is also another vehicle master wherein I have added all the vehicle information, and within the vehicle services, there is an option to add service number, service date, and vehicle name. So now let's add both blank subform and the existing subform. So let me get into the edit mode now. Okay. So I'm just taking off this field. Okay. So now I'm getting into the vehicle services. I wanted to identify I wanted to map vehicle and the relevant services inside this particular form. So for a vehicle, how many services has been done? I'm capturing that within this vehicle service form. Now let's get into the subform concept. I'm going to add a blank subform and show you how it works. I'm getting into subform. I'm going to add a blank subform. You could see that blank subform and the existing subform. Within existing subform, whatever the forms that are created within the application will get displayed, and we can make use of any of these forms. Okay. Now I'm going to create a blank subform, and I'm going to name this blank subform as services opted. And let me just term it as blank for my identification. So here within the blank subform, there is an option called add field, right? So here I would be able to add all the fields that you can see here. Name, email address, phone number, single line. These are the set of fields that can be added within the blank subform. So let's quickly add few fields. I'm naming this as service, and I'm adding another field called currency, and I'm going to add price. Okay. So I have added two fields within the blank subform. When you click on this subform, on the right hand side in the field properties, you would be able to see the properties that are related to the subform. So here you can set the default entries to the subform. I'm setting the default entries to be 3. So by default, 3 rows will get generated. Okay. So you can limit the maximum number of entries. Say, for example, I'm limiting the maximum number of entries to be 4. Then system will not allow more than 4 entries to be fed into the subform. So let's not set the limitation here. This is just for the information. And I also have option to adjust the field width automatically, and the system will automatically adjust the field width. And I can also set the width manually. So it will take you to the page where you can customize each field. I'm setting the service field to be 250, and I can as well set the price to be 200 pixel. Okay. Now let me add the existing subform as well. So within the existing subform, I have the same set of fields. I just wanted to show you the difference on how the blank subform works and how the existing subform works. Here I have service number, a name, and the price. So I'm going to add this subform, that is the existing subform, into another form, vehicle service. So again, I'm getting into the subform, and I'm choosing, instead of blank, I'm going with service existing. So one is blank, another is existing. Services opted. I'm naming this to be existing subform. So same as what we saw with the blank subform. Here you can set the default entries, limit the maximum entries. You can set the width manually, or you can go with the field customization option. So as I mentioned here with the blank subform, this parent, I call this as a parent. This is the main form with which I have added the service number, service date, vehicle number. This is the main form. So here when I add the blank subform, the parent-child relationship would form automatically. So this form would recognize this as a parent by default. Whereas if I add the existing subform, I have to set the manual relationship. Okay. So let me first show you the difference. I'm accessing. I'm sorry. Okay. So we set the default entries to be 3. So it has displayed 3 different rows. You can add any number of rows, and you can as well delete the subform rows. Okay. So you can just delete the entries from here. And here also in the existing form, you have the same field. So let's add a few entries and see the difference. Service number, I'm giving it as random number. I'm choosing the service type as washing and setting the price to be $300. Again, I'm choosing the service to be cleaning. Setting the price. Let's choose the same washing. Setting the price to be $1,020. And I'm adding another row to it. Engine oil. So I'm adding the price to be 1,300. So we have added a couple of rows into both the forms, that is blank form and the existing subform. So I'm submitting the information here. I'm getting into the report, that is all vehicle services. So here, since the blank form is identified as a parent child by default, it is getting displayed. Now we'll have to include the existing subform into the report. So services opted existing, right? Here, I'm just refreshing. So here you can see the difference. I've added washing, engine oil, and the relevant price. Within this service existing form, this should have gotten added as two different records, two separate records, washing 120, so engine oil 1,300. So whatever data that I'm adding to the existing subform, this will get added to the original form automatically. So I will have a separate view in the form of report. I can group the data in the existing subform. I can sort the data in the existing subform report. I can customize the report the way I want. So that is the advantage of using the existing subform, right? So here, within, I'm just getting into the vehicle services. Here you would be able to see that you have this washing oil, engine oil, washing and cleaning. This is acting as one of the fields here, right? If you wanted to display other fields, how do you achieve that? I'm getting into configuration part. So I'm getting into service opted blank. There is an option called add field. So if I wanted to check on the price, then I can choose the delimiter as comma using the comma separated value. And if I enable this link to view, it would enable the link option. And also for the existing form, I'm adding the field to be displayed. I'm adding the price field. So if I click on that, it will redirect me to the service existing report subform. So I wanted to use comma as a delimiter for the separation. So now this is done. Here it has added the relevant data, that is the price and also the service with the comma separated value. Okay, so I can as well, I have now added both the subform. Now I have to establish the parent child relationship between the existing subform and this main form, right? So how do I achieve that? I'm getting into the service existing. Let's get into the edit mode now. I already have the edit mode opened. I'm getting into this service existing form. So here I'm going to add a lookup field and set a bidirectional relationship. So I'm going to say that vehicle service is your parent. So which is the field that I wanted to display? I wanted to display the vehicle service number. Okay, so already a relationship is being found. If I have to establish a bidirectional relationship, I can enable this bidirectional sync. So here I can choose the display format. And if I click on done, so within the vehicle services, I would be able to see all the services related. And within the service master, that is service existing, I would be able to see all the vehicles that are associated to the to particular service. Okay, so I have control over both the forms now. I have set the parent-child relationship here. Now, once this is done, let's go to the access mode now. Here, the vehicle service number got added automatically. So you will have information relevant to the services, both in the service existing form and also in the vehicle services form. So, but with respect to the blank form, you would have blank form as one of the fields within the vehicle services. You would not have this as a separate report or separate row. So that's a difference. And so if I have established the relationship, I would also be able to see that information within my report in the related blocks. So this would also be discussed in tomorrow's session. So coming to the other concepts of blank subform. So there are a few subform related tasks that needs to be performed. You can insert a row into the subform using the syntax given here, and you can also clear the rows into the subform, and also you can access fields in the subform rows. So here are the syntax that's being given. So input dot subform link name dot insert. So this you would have better understanding when we get into the concept of deluge. So what I'll be doing is, let me just explain you on few subform related actions that can be done from the UI level. Okay. So here, with respect to the subform, there are four different actions. So you can show subform add entry, you can hide subform add entry, you can show subform delete entry and hide subform delete entry. So I'll take you to a sample form and I'll show you with the illustration. There is a form called Zilker Vaccination Management, within which I've created employee master, and within the vaccination drive. So employees list will be loaded here. If they are already vaccinated, I wanted to hide this add new. So this is a subform, and I wanted to hide that add new option. So how do I achieve that? Using UI. So let me get into the workflow. I'm creating the workflow. I'm sorry. Let me get into a different form. So within this vaccination drive, I'm getting into the workflow of the vaccination details form. So the logic needs to be triggered in this particular form. So here there is an option called field rules, right? So I'm choosing the field rules. Here I'm going to set the field rules. Hide add row. So when a field rule is being set, then add row needs to be hidden. So this is all the subform related actions. When you get into this add action, whenever a subform is being added, you would have this bunch of options like hide fields, show field. This is for the main form, and you can show and hide fields within the subform as well. So here on a condition, I'm setting it on a condition. When a person is already vaccinated, an employee is already vaccinated, then I would want to hide the subform add entry. So there may be multiple subforms within your application, that is within your form. So here I'm choosing the subform in which the add row needs to be hidden. Now, let me add few employees here. And let me add another employee. So here, into the vaccination drive, if I choose the employee name, and this is the decision box field. right? So we've been looking at the decision box. Here it will accept the Boolean value. If I'm setting true or false condition here, an action needs to be triggered. So that is what we set in the field rules, right? So if I'm enabling, this add row needs to be hidden. So this is the action that we achieved using the UI part of the workflow. So you don't have to get into the deluge script and write codes to achieve this. So you can achieve it through the UI options available. So you can as well, this is also applicable to delete row, or you can show or hide the add entry or delete entry option. So these are the related subform tasks and actions that are, that are associated to subform. So coming to other options that are available within the field palette. So let's quickly go through that. And we have one more concept called smart import and the workflow. With that, we will close the part one, first part of the session. So I'll quickly take you through. We have gone through all the advanced fields. I'm getting into the same application that we saw before. Now we got to know the concepts of lookup and subform and how it has to be used within the application, right? Now let's get into the special fields and the AI field. Let me tell you about this special field. So this section will allow you to segregate the fields based on the fields that you're adding. Say, for example, if I wanted to group all the order main information, I can put it under a different section. If I wanted to add all the item related information, I can group it under a different section and I can add it. For example, so I wanted to just group this quantity, price, and total into a section. Then I can create a section and I can name the section as formula calculation. And by default, when you just hover, you would have the section created by default. So all the fields that we have added has been added to a particular section. So I can add this as main information, main form information, and you can show the header for this section. I can enable this option or it would be hidden. So here I'm enabling this option, show header for this section. So under this section, I'm also adding the add notes. So this is another field. Within this section, you can add up to 3 columns under one section. So within the notes field, you can add your notes here. This will take you to the rich text field editor. See, for example, if I wanted to add like a description, like a terms and conditions. So is everything okay? So just give me a couple of minutes. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, Abhi, your screen is visible.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Okay, thank you. I'll continue with the session.
Abhi?
Yes, Surendra, you're able to hear me?
After the special fields, we can break for lunch, okay?
Yeah, sure. I'll break the session and we'll go for lunch.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So coming to the add notes, Surendra, can you please go on mute? Okay. So coming to the add notes field, I can add the notes for a particular field to be displayed. So along with the price field or along with the quantity, if I wanted to display any note, I can use this add note fields to display the description. So here, if I click on this add notes, it'll take me to the rich text editor where I'll be able to add the notes or the description here. Please add up to in quantity. I'm just giving it as a note. And so this is a field link name, and I'll take you to the live mode. I'll show you how this special field works. I mean, the note field works. Here, I've added a note that please add up to 10 quantity. So it is displaying as a note within the, along with the quantity field. So coming to the users, here the users, this user field is used to display the users that I'm adding to the system. So within the system, I can add the organizational users, right? So if I wanted to assign a task to a particular user, or if I wanted to set the ownership for that particular user who's added as a org user within your system, then I can use the specific field called user. So when this is added, all the users who has been added to the system, so within the settings, you would be able to see the users. I'm just adding one user here. E30, E70 at zohotest.com. I'm giving the read permission. So when I access the application, here it would display all the users. Whoever is added to the system, I'll be able to get the user list. Either I would be able to set the user as a record owner, or I would be able to assign task to this particular user. So let's just cover one more topic and we'll close this. We'll continue after the lunch. Okay. So here there is a field called integration. So this integration field part will be explained in next part of the session. So for now, we have discussed about the basic fields. We have discussed the advanced fields. We've discussed the special fields, right? So after the lunch, I'll be explaining about the AI related fields, a few other workflow concepts, and also the smart import option available within Creator. Okay. So let's break for lunch now. So let's take 45 minutes of break and we'll come back. Okay. Thank you. Let's continue with the session. We have been looking at the special fields. Now, I'll be taking you through the AI field properties. This is artificial intelligence fields, that is ZR capability of Zoho Creator, wherein it does the predictive analysis and the smart analysis. So let me add these fields and show you how it works. So let me add the prediction field, keyword extraction, sentimental analysis, OCR, and object detection. So coming to the prediction field. So this prediction field, let me take you to the different application. So before that, let's get into the keyword extraction. So I'm just dragging and dropping the keyword extraction. So this keyword extraction is applicable to the single line field and the multi-line field. So the description that you're giving within the single line or the multi-line multi-line field. So if you're applying this keyword extraction, it'll extract all the keywords that are available within your description that you've given it in the single line and multi-line field. Okay, so let me add the single line field here, the keyword extraction. And let me as well add other few fields with respect to the AI field. This is a sentimental analysis. So this is also applicable to the single line field and the multi-line field. So the text that you want to analyze for the sentiment. So if you this would be of use if you wanted to analyze this sentiment of the text that you're giving. So I'm adding the single line field to be, or the multi-line field to be, the sentimental analysis field. So I'm also dragging and dropping this OCR, object character recognition field. So here you'll have to have a mandatory image field. So the images that you're uploading, it'll if an image has got any text, it'll extract it'll extract the text from your image, and it'll populate the extracted text within this OCR field. So let me choose the image field. So within our form, we have single line, multi-line, and image field, which I have made use of. Okay, and there is also another field called object detection, right? So I'm dragging and dropping this object detection field. So for this also, image field needs to be mandatory. So it'll predict, or it'll detect the objects that are embedded, objects that are available within the images. So it'll detect the objects. I'm adding this image field. I've chosen the image field, and now let's get into the live mode. So here we have the sentiment analysis, for which I've chosen the single line and multi-line field, right? This is Abhinaya. I work for Zoho Corporation. Yep. So now here within the sentiment, it has analyzed the sentiment to be neutral. So giving it as I'm happy. So the sentiment, it has predicted the sentiment to be positive. And if you're giving it as I'm living in Chennai. So it's a neutral statement. Based on the statement that you're giving, it will analyze the sentiment. So here it has predicted the sentiment to be positive. So within the single line field, we have the number of character limitations. So let me just remove that off. Let's say 100. And here, let me add a description to the single line field, and let's see how the keyword extraction happens. Okay. So again, I'm giving the C. And I'm working for Zoho. So this is a end-to-end training series. So when you get into the keyword extraction field, E2E training series is a keyword, Zoho is a keyword, and it has taken the name to be the keyword. So it does the keyword extraction from the single line and multi-line field that wherein we are adding the description. So coming to the OCR and the object detection. So I'm going to upload an image. So we have an image field here, which I'm going to use it for OCR and the object detection. I'm going to take it from my local computer. So now what we'll do is, so let's add this. So let's see if it is recognizing the object. We'll add a different image. So I'm setting the aspect ratio, and it has detected the object to be person. So if there are multiple objects within the chosen area, it would detect all the objects that are available within the image and display it in the comma separated value. So coming to the OCR field, if your image has got any text, it would extract the text from your image and it will display in the OCR field. Again, let's take a text which has got, let's take an image which has got the text. So I'm taking this and I'm clicking on done. So it'll extract the text within. So within this OCR, it has detected triple E. These are the texts that it has recognized and it has populated within this particular field. So this is about the AI field. We have one more option called predictive analysis. So these are the ZIA capability, that is artificial intelligence capability of Zoho Creator. And predictive analysis, let me get into a different application. I have an application called clinical management system. So within this clinical management system, I have few details like patient's case details, symptoms. So within the symptoms, I have all the symptoms added to the master data and all the disease names that I've added to the master data. So this patient case details has got few records within. Okay. So when you add a record, here it has got symptom 1, symptom 2, symptom 3. So with respect to the predictive analysis field, I'm going to train the system with the data that I have to predict a field. So let's see how this is done. So I'm getting into the form, patient's case details. So I'm going to use symptoms 1 and 2, 1, 2, and 3 for the analysis. So for the predictive analysis, you should have a huge set of data for the result to be appropriate. So I'm adding in the prediction field here. So I'm giving the prediction field to be diagnose the disease. So based on the symptoms that I'm adding, it has to diagnose the disease with the previous set of data that I've added to the system that it uses as a training data. So the target field that I wanted to use is disease name. And the predicting field. So with what all fields should I do the prediction? Symptoms 1, symptoms 2, and symptoms 3. So I'm going to use this as a training data. So based on the previous history, it would symptoms 1, 2, and 3, it would do an analysis and it will predict the disease. Now I'm giving on next. So is it specific to a set of records or is it applicable to all the records? I'm giving it as all records. I'm giving next. and I'm adding the prediction field. So now what happens is we wouldn't be able to see the result because we don't have enough data. We should be having huge data for the analysis to happen properly. Here within the symptoms, I'm giving cold, BP, and fever. Okay, so here within the predictive analysis, generally if you have huge set of data, it would automatically diagnose the disease based on the previous training data that we have added. Okay, so this is about the prediction field. So in this way, based on the business requirement, you can make use of the artificial intelligence field available within Creator. Coming to the next topic. So there is form properties. We have seen all the sections. It is basic field, advanced field, special field, and AI fields, except for the integration, which would be taken in the next part. So now we'll be looking at the form properties. We've been going through common field properties. Now I'm going to the form properties. Just click on the gear icon over the top right corner and it'll take you to the form properties. So here on successful submission of the form, what is the message that you wanted to show it to the user? So here I can customize this data added successfully, or you can customize it based on the requirement. And on the successful submission, if you wanted to enable or send any email notification, just enable this option, and this is customizable. Here, it would take you to the emailer, wherein you can give the from address, which would be Zoho's variable like admin's email address or logged in user's email address. And you can as well add the verified email address. For example, if I'm adding an email address, it'll send an 6-digit verification code to your account that you're adding. So once it is being verified, it'll come under the verified email address. Apart from the Zoho's variable, you would also be able to send email to the verified email addresses. And here you can also choose the to address. Here, this will also include the form fields. For example, within the form, if I've added the email field, those email addresses would appear here, and I can go ahead to choose one of the email addresses or multiple addresses to send the email notification. Okay, now let me choose logged in user's email address. So here again we have the rich text editor, wherein here we have options to insert the system fields, the form fields. And for example, I wanted to insert the customer name. Customer name is one of the fields that I've added. Hello, customer name. And you can add the message over here. So regards, the creative team. Okay. So include user submitted data as well. So this, if you wanted to attach any PDF as a PDF template, you can do the attachment here. And if you wanted the content to be as a plain text or HTML, you can define it here. So I'm clicking on done. So based on the logged in user ID, the email notification will be enabled once this form is submitted. Every time when the form is submitted, and redirect URL. So after the form is being submitted, how do you want the system to be redirected? Should it redirect it to a form or a particular report or a page or a website URL? If I'm giving it as a report, which report do you want the system to redirect to? I'm giving it as sample form 1 report. So it'll ask for the target window. So if you wanted to go with the same window or a new window, or should it open in a parent window? I'm giving it as same window, so that it'll be redirected this to the report in the same window. So coming to the location data. So when I enable this capture location, so whenever the user is logging in into the Zoho Creator account, into this particular form, it will ask for user's consent. If there is any address field, it will ask for user's consent to capture the location. So if the user is giving yes, then it would proceed to capture the location with their consent. And I'm just giving it on. And again, this works similar to the capture location. Again, it will ask for the user's consent to capture user's IP address. So if I'm enabling capture IP address, it would capture the IP address. Here I can as well enable the data encryption. Okay, and this is like button customization. So on submission, how do you want the button to look like? I can change it to submit, or I can change it to click, or like however I wanted it to be. I'm giving it a submit. While editing the record, it has to be update and cancel. How do you want the button to appear like? So here you can set the role hierarchy as well. So here you're setting the record owner as the added user. This can be, the record owner can be the users by itself. So these users are the organizational users who can be the record owner. And here you can restrict the form entry. So while the user is keying in the values, you can enable the captcha before the form is being submitted. So only if the captcha is verified, then you would be able to submit the form, just to ensure that it's not bot who's like responding to the system. And here you have this allow one entry per user. When this is enabled, only one entry per user will be allowed in a form. So here you can customize this error message on how it has to be filled, and allow one entry per IP address. So from an IP address, particular IP address, only one user will be allowed to make entry. There is one entry if this option is enabled. If I'm enabling geofencing option, so it'll take me to the form where I have to choose the location within which the user should be able to access the form. So I'm giving the radius to be 100. So within 100 miles or 100 kilometers or 100 meters radius, the user should be able to access this particular form. So if he goes beyond that, he'll not be able to access it. And restricting the form entries. So if I wanted to disable the form, say after 200 entries, then I can give the number. Once 200 number has reached, or if it has reached the maximum number, it would automatically get disabled. So you can set such restrictions at the form properties level, and you can restrict the form availability. Say, for example, I wanted the users to access the form from July 6th to 28th. If I'm setting the start time and end time, within this stipulated time, the user would be able to access the form, and beyond that, they wouldn't have access. So I'm just removing this. And email data. Here, while sending the email notification, we saw an option, right? So allow here the email data. There is an option called allow from everyone, allow use only from the application user. So you can as well submit the form entries via your email. So from your email, you can use this template. For example, these are the list of fields that are available within the form. So you can use this format, that is a template. You can fill in the data, key in the data, and you can submit it through your email itself. So can we allow this data to be submitted from everyone, or should we allow only application users? I'm choosing the option that it has to be allowed only from the application users. Okay. And you're setting the label width. If it is the custom decision, then you'll have to go with the pixel. I'm setting it to be the default one. So here, in this way, you can set the form properties. And while sending the email data, the from address will be this address, and to address would be once it is submitted from this email address. I mean, the form email address, when you're submitting to this particular email address, it'll automatically, the data will get automatically submitted into the form when you're submitting via email. So this is about the form properties. Now, let's move on to the workflow logics. We've covered the form properties, field properties, and the basic field palettes. Basic fields, advanced fields, special fields, and AA fields. Now, getting into the concept of workflow. So here, the main purpose of workflow is to write the simple and the complex workflow, the business logics. Okay, similar to how you write functions in the traditional approach, we are using the workflow for writing the business logics. Okay, so let us see how this is handled. Let me get into a different form. So let me get into this clinical management system itself. Here, click on this done. It will take you to the the edit mode where you have this design tab, workflow and settings. Now I'm getting into the workflow. Okay. When you get into the workflow, it will take you to the page where you will have options to create workflows for your form. You can set the scheduling and you can do the approvals, multiple levels of approving hierarchies using this approval option. There are payment gateways available. You can create workflows and send payment through the payment gateway. And we have a newly introduced feature called Blueprint, with which you can automate the process flow. And we have options to write the custom functions. So here, I'm getting into the form workflow. Okay, so I'm creating a new workflow here. So when you get into this workflow option, let's see what are the different stages in which we can trigger the workflow. Here, the first step is I have to choose the form. In which form am I going to apply the logic or condition? So when do you want the record to be triggered? So while creating the record or while editing the record, this is similar to the current operation that we see in the normal development, application development. So here, while editing, creating, editing, or create or edited, or while deleting the record, do you want this logic to be triggered? So, and again, I'm clicking on this created or edited. Here, we have categorized the logics into three different categories. One is before the form submission, and second one is on form submission, and the third one is after form submission. So let me take you through each of these options. So before the form submission, we have a few logics that can be handled. One is with respect to field rules. Another is when the form is getting loaded, what do you want the system to do? Third one is user input of a field. So when an input is being given to the field, what is the action that you wanted the system to perform? So let's get into few of these options and see. So field rule, I'm setting the field rule. Let's say I'm getting into the form. Here within the patient case details, I wanted to hide this symptom 3 and the patient and the users field. So I'm using the field rule option to achieve this. So I've chosen the patient case details form. I'm giving it as hide field. So with this field rule, you can hide the field, you can show the field, you can enable the field values, you can disable the field values based on the condition. So if I'm setting the condition as symptom 1 is not null and symptom 2 is not null, then just hide symptom 3. So I'm getting into hide option. So when both the values are available, then symptom 3 has to be hidden. So let's get into the form mode and we'll see. So here I'm choosing the symptoms, symptom 2, getting loaded, just a few minutes. So I'm giving both the fields here. So it has hidden symptom 3 automatically. based on the above two conditions. Right? And coming to the next rule, that is within the same form, let's see. So while the form is getting loaded, what do you want the system to do? Say, for example, if I wanted to set the current date while the form is getting loaded, or if I wanted to load some other field, let me get into the form. So patient's name, date of visit. So current date has to be loaded automatically while the form is getting loaded. So I'll add it as current date. So what I'll do is, here we are into the deluge editor now. Now when you get into the editor, here there is an option to view all the fields based on the form that you're choosing. Okay, on the left hand side you can see all the syntax, like the condition based syntax, data access. These are the syntax that are available, and you have the syntax guide as well. It does a predictive analysis. When you just type in something, it will automatically display the field name, form name, the syntax statements, and all that. Now what we'll be doing is, we wanted to load the current date while the form is getting loaded. So here, in which field should I want to load? Date of visit is a field within which I have to load. So instead of the field name, we'll have to go with the field link name. So here, date underscore of underscore visit is a field link name. I'm choosing this is equal to input dot Zoho dot current date and time, current date. So I've assigned the value. When the form is getting loaded, this current date will get loaded automatically. So I'll quickly load it. So you'll be able to see that here within date of visit, we are able to add the current field automatically. So this is with respect to the load of the form. So the next workflow will be with respect to user input of a field. So, okay. So let's say that based on the symptoms added, or based on the disease that is being chosen, the remarks has to get added automatically. Okay. Okay. So here on user input of which field, maybe we can take doctors. On user input of the doctor's field, what do you want the system to perform? On user input of any other field. So let's take the disease. I'm choosing the disease. Here, input dot disease name. On user input of the disease name, input dot disease name is equal to, sorry, so I'm just populating this particular field, input dot disease name, which is a big int. Here, this is a lookup field. On user input of the disease name, it has to be assigned to the remarks. Along with that, the doctor will add other remarks as well. So I'm adding the disease name. So it is populating the ID instead of the display field. We can as well populate the other fields from the disease name. For example, now it's populating the ID. If I wanted to populate the disease name, then I'll choose the display field name to be disease. We've been discussing this in the lookup concept, right? So here I've chosen disease. I'm converting it into the string and I'm updating. And now let's add the disease and let's see how it is getting populated. So now it is displaying the ID. We can as well display the string value into it. So the next concept would be I'm getting into the workflow now. Okay, so we've been discussing about before form submission, right? The next step would be on form submission. So before the form is getting submitted, what do you want the system to do? Say, for example, if the quantity is below 10, then do not allow the user to submit the record. I'm just giving a sample value. I'm giving the workflow name as validation. So if let's add a field. Or let's say input dot patient name is equal to null. If there is no value selected, then do not allow the user to submit. I'm throwing an alert message now. Please do select the patient name. So we'll have to end it with a semicolon. So this statement would not allow you to submit the form unless this condition is met. I mean, if the patient name is equal to null, it will not allow you to submit. So I'm getting into the form. I'm not going to give the patient name. Now, if I'm trying to submit it, I'm sorry, just I'll check. So we'll give a static value, say patient name is Abhinay. So I'm updating. You can as well give the static value. Now, if you're trying to submit the data, with that particular string value, it would not allow you to submit. Now I'm submitting. Please to select the patient name. This is the error message, the alert message that we have given. So it will not allow you to submit. This is on validation of forms, form submission. So the next one is on successful form submission. So what do you want the system to do? So on successful form submission and after form submission, what do you want the system to do? Once the form is being submitted, you can enable the email notification. You can send SMS to your customers, or you can insert data into another form. So I'm just choosing this successful form submission and say I'm doing an email notification, send email. Here it'll take me to the screen where I have options to notify, send notification, and I can add or update records in another form using this data access option. And I can get integrated to other services, and I can as well write few dilute script. Now I would want to send email notification. So I'm choosing this email notification and send email. So again, it will redirect me to this emailer page wherein I'm giving from as Zoho admin and 2 as login user ID. And I can add the relevant message. See, hello user, data added successfully. So I'm just giving a random message. Or you can insert a field value here. I'm inserting the admin email address. If I save, on successful submission of this particular form, I would be receiving an email. So every logged in user would be receiving an email. So in case if you're adding any subform, then what happens is it automatically enables addition of row and deletion of row as a few other options within the workflow. So that we've been discussing, right, while discussing about the subform. So that will be taken in detail by Surinder in next part of the session. So coming to the last concept, that is smart import option. So let me take you through the smart import option now. Now we saw about form workflow, the components of the elements within form, field properties, form properties, basic fields, advanced special fields, how to create an application, various methods of creating an application, how to apply the workflow logics and all that, right? Now, we saw two ways of creating an application, right? The third method is using the smart import. This would be of use when you wanted to do a data migration. Okay, so let me just show you how the smart import option works. I have an Excel file wherein I have the customer data, customer name, email address, mobile number, address, and customer ID. And within the order information, I have this customer, order date, order number, and grand total. So here I have linked the order number with the line items. So these are the line items with respect to the order one. So I have linked this order number here as order 1 and 1. Here in next tab, I have the product information and the technician information. So with the data that I have in Excel, now I'll be creating an application. And with the smart import option, we would also be doing the data cleansing. Okay, so let me quickly do that. Now I'm getting into the import option. So here I have the app, the Excel file named as Zilka Smart App. Here, when I give that option, it will automatically upload the data available within my Excel file. So we had the customer tab, order sheet, line item sheet, product information, and technician information, right? So here, what Zoho Creator does is It'll consider all these columns, that is technician name, phone, and email address as a field, and this as the list of records. Bob, the information that we have added, it'll consider it as a set of rows within the form, within the report, and this as a field name. And each sheet will be considered as a separate form by itself. Customer will be created as a separate form, order will be created as a separate form, and a line item is a subform that needs to be incorporated within the order form, that is to be added to the order form. So and product will be created as a separate form, and technician as a different form. So here you can relate it with the tables within the conventional development approach. So within the tables as well, you will have rows and columns, fields and data into it, right? Similar to that, uh, it has uploaded all the data and it has recognized the field. So in case it has automatically recognized each field, now it has mapped the email field to the email field within Zoho Creator. Okay. And mobile number. So I'm just clicking on this customize field. So it has automatically mapped it to the phone number, right? So here there are few properties that can be enabled from this smart import option. You can set it to be mandatory, or you can enable this no duplicate option. So apart from the recognition, it has recognized the address field to be the single line field. Now I'm going to map it to the address field within Zoho Creator. So address, city, I'm going to link it to the same, postal code, I'm going to link everything to the address field now. So we can as well do other forms of cleansing. So when you click on this inverted triangle, there is an option called refine data. So when you have like huge data, millions and millions of data, then the data cleansing would become really a difficult job, right? So in those cases, smart import option would give you it has a capability of cleansing the data that you're uploading. So with the data refinement part, what all you can do? You can fix the inconsistent spelling. If you have any inconsistent spelling, it'll fix it. And if you wanted to fix the duplicate rows, so with the small set of records, it'll be easy to identify the duplicates, right? But when you have huge data, then the duplication cannot be identified easily. So you can fix the duplicate rows. You can fix the missing values. For example, if this field doesn't have any value, and if I'm okay, oh, I'm sorry. I'll just do an import again. So it also does the smart suggestion, how do you want to, how the mapping is being done. So I'm getting into the cleansing part again. So I'm setting this to be empty. See. Now, if I wanted to find the missing values, it will automatically identify the missing values. There is one missing value, and that is within this address. So you can fill in the value and apply it so that it gets added automatically. Similar to that, you can as well split the columns. Say, for example, you have the address column within the Excel as a single field. And if you wanted to split it inside Creator as, say, city, country separately, then you can use this split column. And this would also be applicable for the composite field that you're using. And coming to the merge field. And if you have the name field in different columns, and if you wanted to merge the name field, then you can go with this merge column option. Explore and edit. When you click on this explore and edit, it'll show you the count of the value that you're choosing. For example, if I'm choosing email address, it'll show the count of email address, unique values, missing values, a kind of analytics of the data that we have uploaded. So you can sort in ascending order, you can sort in descending order, you can do all sorts of text transformation to lowercase, uppercase, or title case. You can just go and try with these options. So, and here there is another option. It has uploaded all the sheets that are available, right? Here, this line item should be considered as a subform within this order details, right? So what I'll be doing is I'm clicking on this line item. So system has automatically identified the lookup as product and order number. Now, let me just change this lookup field to be the number field. Okay. It has identified the lookup field automatically from the Excel. Now I'm going to set this line item as a subform. I'm making it as a subform. And so this is the existing subform. So which is going to be its parent? Order form is going to be its parent. And what is the linking column? So to which field should I link in the main form? And to which field should I link in the subform? I'm choosing the order number. So you can see that from the line items, I'm using this for the linking process. I'm giving it a apply. So here, when you get into design, again, we have a kind of schema builder or the entity relationship, wherein it shows the lookup. You can just change the lookup field, or you can just remove off, create a new lookup from here. I can add the technician name into the order, and I can map it with the order, or I can map the order number with this order number. It has initially it identified this as a lookup, but we have removed that relationship. And now what we're doing is we'll be creating an application out of it. We did the data cleansing. If you want to find and replace any value, you can do that. And here all the options are enabled. If you do not want any fields to be within your form, then you can just disable this off. Okay. So now I'm going to click on this create. So it has created an application for me. Now, if I get into this Zilker Smart app, you would be able to see the data with the Excel file that you have. We've created an application. All the data is being uploaded to the respective forms. And within the order, line items would have added as a subform. This is the existing subform. We have marked line item as a subform within the Smart Import option, right? So this is the Smart Import feature available within Creator. So with this, I'm going to close the basic concepts. I'll be handing over the session to Surendra. Further, he'll be discussing on all the advanced concepts of Creator. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So let us continue with the session. So Abhi have taken us through the basic form properties, the basic workflow properties, smart import development. So now let us get into a deluge, basics of deluge, what are the objects which are available in deluge, and how we can fetch a particular object and update it. Okay. So when we say object, I meant the record which is available. So let us get started with the deluge part. So getting into workflow. So I'll be using function for the demonstration. The reason why I'm using the function for demonstration is because it's easy for me to execute it then and there while I'm showing a particular demonstration. So the same can be achieved in the workflow as well. So if I'm getting into workflow, we have to get into the form and do it in action. So to avoid that, I'm using the function. So the same, whatever I'm doing in the function can also be done from the workflows. To access the workflow, you have a tab which is right next to the design. the design, you have all the options like form workflows, schedules, approvals, payments, blueprints, report, and functions. Okay, so these functions are bits or snippets of codes which we write, and what these set of codes are reusable. So for example, here we can see I have written a function which is making an API call. So this is a function which is just making API call. It is getting the ID of a particular record and making it. So this function is called inside the form. So rather than writing this API call everywhere when I want to use, I've written it at one place and I'm calling it in multiple places inside the application. So that is the advantage of the functions. And these custom functions are accessible all over the applications. For example, if I'm having the custom function sites webhook written in this application, I want to use this function in a different application as well. I'm building application B and I want to use the function from application A. It is allowed. Okay, we will be able to use that as well. So that's a small overview about the function. Let me take you to the basics of deluge, and then we'll be discussing about the functions and other points. So let me say basics of deluge. So creating a function. So the first concept which we are going to take a look at is the deluge builder. Okay. So the deluge builder is both predictive and drag and drop. So for example, if I want to establish a if condition, I can simply type an if and press enter. All the structure or the skeleton of that particular condition gets populated automatically. Okay, so that is how deluge is predictive in nature. And deluge is, or we can also use the same using drag and drop. Here we can see if I want to establish an if, or if I want to establish an else if condition, I can simply drag and drop it here. You can see the else if condition and the skeleton has been populated, and this can be manipulated from the UI itself. I can simply go and choose the fields which I want to add, and it will be reflected the same. So that is about the deluge builder. Okay. So deluge builder is both predictive and it is also drag and droppable. So let us start with the basic. The first one is if condition. So for this, I'll get a string input. So if condition is like any other programming language. I say if IP is equal to A. So I'm giving the input as A. I'm saying info. Info this is A. Else I'll say go back input. So this info statement and alert statement, right? This info statement and alert statement can be used while we are trying to debug something. For example, I'm writing a deluge script which is having 100 lines of codes, and I'm not getting the desired output for that. So in that case, I can insert a few alert statements in specific places to find out where I went wrong. Okay, in case I have a issue with the line 95, I can just place alert statements in the in 70, 80, 90. Okay, so I can understand, okay, up to the point 90 the code is behaving the way it is supposed to behave. So we can localize the point where we went wrong. So that is where we use the info and alert statements normally in the while we are using programming. And these can also be used to display the messages to the users while they are interacting with the component. Like Abhi discussed with you, while we are selecting a particular field value, the a value associated to that action is getting displayed to the user. So those kind of actions can also be achieved using alert and info. Okay. So in this case, we are executing a simple if condition where we are just getting an input and saying, okay, if the input is A, it is going to be it is going to say this is A. If not, it's going to say no, you have entered something else. So let me just save this function and execute it. Here you can see it is asking for our input, and I say A, I submit it, I am getting the message this is A. If I execute again and I say B and submit it, it's going to say you have entered something else. So this is how we can implement a if condition. So we can do multiple conditions as well. So we can also do else if. So else if IB equal to B, then I can say info B. So we can implement the if condition, else if, and else condition the same way which we do in any other programming language. And Deluge, being a scripting language, executes in the order in which we have given the code. Okay. So for example, let me put it here this way. And at the end, I'll say info IP. Okay. So say if I execute it, I'm getting the code A here and I'm submitting it. You can see the output of IP is A. And I say uh, IP equal to IP plus B. Okay. So now what I'm saying is whatever input I'm giving it, at the end I'm going to add a string B to it. And if I execute again, if I say A and I submit it, you can see the condition actually takes this as A and executes the if condition, comes to the end and adds the B. If I replace the order here, if I go ahead and say now it's A, the system is saying it added the IP first. It said, okay, you have entered something else. It's not A because we have added B already, and then it is getting into the if condition. So since it's being a scripting language, right, it gets executed in the same order in which we are coding it. So using appropriate info statements and alert statements in the meat of the codes will help us to understand the section where we went wrong. So that is about the basic if condition and the sequencing in which the delete script gets executed. And the next, which we are going to take a look at, is for loop. The for loop, we have three different kinds of for. Let me first establish a list here. A equal to A, B, C. I'm going to iterate, so I'll say for each record. So here we can see we have three options to conduct a for loop here. So either it is for each record. If I'm doing a for loop on a particular form, and I wanna iterate through every record in that form, or I wanna iterate through records which are matching certain conditions. In that case, we can go for each record. Or I have got the answer in a collection. So let us say it may be a list or a map. I have the answer, and I want to iterate through each and every element of that collection. We can go for each element. Say we have everything in a list, and I want to iterate through that particular list using the index. Then we can go for each index. In this case, let us simply go for each element. The variable name, so I have assigned the entire list to the variable name A. So what I'll say is for each element in the list A, I'm saying info A, info element. And let me save this and execute it. Okay, so we are already getting, I have forgot to remove it. If I submit it here, the system has iterated through every element of the list A. Here we can see the list A is having A, B, C, and D. So every element, for each element in A is being iterated and it's being populated over here. So this is how we establish a simple for loop. So what if I wanna iterate to each record and based on a condition? So let me get into that. Uh, so here from the buyer details, right? So I wanna, or let us get into the property list. So in this property list, there are three properties. I want to identify which are the properties which belong to Ruby Homes. Okay. So these are the only records I want to know. So what I can do is I can simply establish a for loop over here to that particular form. I am just zooming in. So the condition I'm going to write is for each record rec in the form. We give it as property list form where the condition the belongs to is equal to Ruby Homes. And let us add these to a list. So let us say a equal to list a dot add. Right. So we are getting all the elements or all the records which are matching this condition saying belongs to, which is here. Belongs to is the field which is having the value Ruby Homes. So whichever field is matching the value of Ruby Homes will be populated to that particular list. And now let us info the list. Info A. And that's it. Okay. Sorry, here I should not give that semicolon. If I execute now, just give me 1 second. Let me remove this input because we are not getting any input over here. Executing it now. Here we can see it is giving me the record ID of 2 records, although there are 3 records in the system. So here we can see there are 3 records. One is home in ECR, Los Angeles, and San Diego. But home in Los Angeles and home in San Diego are the only ones which belong to Ruby Homes. And based on the condition, right? So based on the condition saying, okay, all the records which are matching to Ruby Homes, I want this. So it is giving me the record ID of those properties. But what if I don't want the record ID? I want the name of the properties. That dot, I can say property title. So now if I execute, you can see it is returning me with 2 names. One is home in San Diego, another one is home in Los Angeles. Okay, these are the 2 properties, and you can see earlier when I said okay, give me the records, it gave me the record ID. So that is one more advantage in Deluge. So the moment we get the record ID, we get hold of that. We get a reference to the entire record. I can get any. I can get any field from that record ID. So if I have to say info like dot property address. So now I'm not adding that to list. I'm just getting the property address and infoing it. Here we can see executing. Here we can see uh, the second info. This is the info from the list A, and inside the for loop I have asked the system to give me the address. Both of them are being obtained from the same record ID. You can see the record is holding the record ID, and from where I'm adding the property details to the list A, and I'm also infoing the property address. So that is how, well, if you are getting a record ID, that is how we are supposed to get the details. For example, if we are having a lookup field in the form, let me check if I have a lookup field over here. Property list belongs to is not lookup. Just give me 1 second. So using this, if we are using a lookup field, whenever we are asking for that particular field, we'll be getting a record ID rather than the actual record. Let me check if I'm having a lookup field. If not, I'll get the lookup field over here. Okay, so we are not having a lookup field readily available. Let me add a lookup field to this form, and I'll show you how it is getting displayed in Deluge. So getting into property list, let me get a lookup form. So we say from the seller details we get the name. So if I access this form, property list, let me update the values over here. For home in Los Angeles, if I edit it, I am going to say seller details to be James Williams. Okay. So I'm applying it. So for home in Los Angeles, I have given the seller detail to be James Williams. But here we can see the seller details to be James Williams. The same when I'm calling the that particular field in Deluge. Let me get over here. Let me remove this. I'll get the record ID. Here we have displayed the record ID over here. I'll just fetch the record ID and I'll show you the value which has been returned in that lookup field. So let us say fetch. Fetch is a variable name. I used FET. From fetch, we say property list form ID equal to. So here you can see whenever I'm typing it, so the deluge builder automatically is predicting me with the next steps. So here you can see uh, info fetch dot. So let me open it back. This info fetch dot seller details. Okay, get the so while we are getting, we have to make sure we are using the field link name, not the field name. So this is the display name, but actually the field link name will normally be underscore, which is replaced. If you want to know where to get the field link name, we can simply get into the edit mode of the application, get into that particular form, open that form, click on that field. Here we can see, oh, the field link name is employer details. So we are not supposed to make this mistake. So here we can see the field link name is showing us employer details, or the field name is showing us seller details. I would have made the mistake. So we have to make sure we are using the field link name and not the field name over here. So let me get it over here. So that is the reason it was not giving me the when I typed yes, it was not giving. It was employer details. So this is the field name. Okay, so we have to make sure we are not making this mistake while we are putting in deluge. We have to make sure that we are using the field link name over here. So if I execute it, we can see I'm getting a record ID rather than the name James Williams. Okay, so to avoid that, what we can do, we have to do it one more time. So for example, dot employer details. Now I can say which employer details dot sorry uh, which dot okay uh, because this belongs to image. Okay, so normally this is how it happens. I since I added the field in the middle and the data structure was already established, I think there is some issue. But normally when you are trying to get the field name from a lookup form, lookup field, we have to mention that lookup field which will give you the record ID, and from that record ID we will be putting a dot and give the field name. I think since I placed the employee details over there in a pre-built application, and that is not how we actually establish a relationship. While we are establishing a relationship, we have to make sure that we are establishing it before putting in the data. I have all the data being set over here. Here we can see all the data are being there. So when I'm trying to establish a new relationship, it is not reacting the way I want. I may have to get into the system and debug it. So instead of going too deep into that now, this this is how we normally handle a lookup field. While we are alerting a lookup field, it will give you the record ID, and from there we have to give the appropriate field names. So this is about fetching a record from a particular form. So it can be from any form. It's not mandated that it has to be from the form property list. It can be from any form inside the application, or it may also from a different application as well. Okay. So let us get into the objects which are available in Deluge. There are three objects which are available. First is list. So let us say A equal to list. Sorry. Let me delete this. So the data types which are handled by Deluge are, we can take a look at here. We have int, float, string, boolean, date, map, list, and collection. So we all know about the int, which is integer values, either decimal or the regular whole numbers. Sorry, the whole numbers comes under int. The decimals and other values comes under the float. The string is the pure string. String values are either combination of a string and a number, special characters. Everything falls under the string. So whatever value which we consider as a string will be enclosed in a double quotes. Okay, and each field will have its own data type. For example, here you can see this property title is a single line field, and the single line field is considered as a string. Okay, even though we are giving a numerical value, if I say I'm giving it as 5, when the data gets transferred to the backend, when the data gets moved to the form storage, it moves as a string and not as a number. So the fields property, the fields data type takes precedence over the data type of the input which has been given. And similarly, the address is again a single line field, multi-line is single line. So this drop down again is a string field. So the drop down can be populated using a list, which I'll be showing you in a moment. The subform will be considered in a form of a collection. So every row in this subform will be acting as a map inside a list. So for example, if it's a property details, let me get the value. Okay, so let's get into that in a bit detail. We'll discuss about the other data types as well. So coming to bool, it is the boolean. It is either giving yes or no or true or false kind of answers, followed by the date. So the date consists of date field, time field, or the date time field. So there are these three fields, and so if you are adding or if you are handling a date element in Deluge, we have to enclose it in single quotes. And then comes the map. The map is a key value pair, which is normally in the JSON format. There will be a key and a value separated by a colon. And next comes the list. The list is the normal collection of objects where we can add multiple elements to the list. And next comes a collection. The collection is a combination of a list and a map, or a map and a list. So, for example, if you are placing multiple maps as an element to a list, it's a collection. And in the same way, if you are placing a list of elements as a value to a key, then it's also made as a collection. So the map, list, and collection are the major objects which we will be discussing now. So let me start with collection, within which we'll have all the option to understand the map and list as well. So let me just close this. Getting into basics of deluge. Here in this side, we can see in property list, if I edit, we can see we have all the amenities in the subform. Here we can see I have bedroom, bathroom, kitchen. So all the details about this particular property is being added in the subform. Let me show you how this entire record is tagged. Okay, let me show this property details. So let me write a fetch tags. Fetch is equal to, so the fetch, since I'm using it again and again, doesn't it's a variable. You can use the more sensible variable for you. Okay, I'm using this just to make sure you are understanding that we are making a fetch task over here. Okay, so we can while we are doing multiple fetch tasks, we can name the variables based on the action or the data which is being returned from that particular fetch task. So from the fetch task, I'm going to say from the property list form. So property title is equal to, let me get the property title over here. The property title is going to be home in Los Angeles. Say this and the info fetch. Execute it. We can see there is one, it's showing me one record, and let me get the property details. Property details. So it is giving me, since I have used the existing pharmacy subform, it is giving me the IDs of each and every row. So what we are going to do is we are going to get the details. So let us say, here you can see it's having bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, hall, and dining. So actually this output is in the form of a list. But normally when we are making an API call, when I'm integrating and I'm getting the record via API. So let me show you one example. Is equal to Zoho dot creator dot get record by ID. So I'll explain this integration task in a bit in detail in the upcoming session. So whether is RP0 and the app link name. I'm just trying to show you the output. So let us focus on the object in which the data is coming out. I'll give you the details in the upcoming sessions. Okay. So its report link name is all property list. And then comes the record ID and users connection. Get the record ID. So if I execute, I forgot to place the info statement here. Sorry. Executing it. You can see I've got a JSON as an output. So let me get into JSON beautifier. You can see this is the let me zoom it. We can see all the values of the of that record are being populated to us in the form of a key value pack. There you can see the belongs to. This is sorry. This belongs to is the field link name, and the Ruby name, Ruby Homes is the value which is associated to the field link name. Here we can see this entire record has been given to me in the form of collection. So the employer detail. So the employer detail is a lookup field. Okay. So it is showing the display value which I am going to display is James Williams, but actually it's in the backend it is the ID. So coming to the amenities, here we can see we have a multi-select field. Coming to amenities, this is a multi-select field, and this field is giving us a list as an output. In the JSON beautifier, you can see the amenities has been given to us in the form of a list. Sorry, so it's enclosed inside the square bracket. Normally, the list in Deluge will be enclosed inside the square bracket, and the map will be enclosed inside a flower bracket. Okay, and so this amenities is a multi-select field which has been giving us an output in the form of list. And coming to the subform, here we can see every row of the subform has been displayed in the form of a collection. So the display value, which is the bedroom, and it's having 3 bedrooms, record ID of that particular row, and it has been enclosed inside a flower bracket. So there are multiple maps which has been added as an element to the list, and that list has been added as a value to the field link name. The property details is the field link name, which is having multiple rows, and each row has been given to in the form of map. So these are the objects which we focus more on Deluge. So normally when we are going for integration, or when we are trying to manipulate a value, so everything happens via the objects. Okay. So for right now, so this is one sample example. If we want to integrate Zoho Creator with other products, let us say we want to integrate Zoho Creator with Zoho CRM or Zoho Creator with any other products, we'll be transferring data in the form of maps. Okay, and there are also places where we'll be transferring data in the form of collections. Normally we call it as collections because sometimes the data may also contain list value to be passed on. We'll be discussing those integration tasks and integrations in the next session. Now I just want you to understand about the objects which we have in Deluge. So the first object is integer, which contains the whole numbers. Then comes the float, and then comes the string. Then comes the Boolean, date, map, list, and collection. So whenever we are getting a complete record, so this is a complete record we can see. So the data, the entire record system belongs to. So it's everything that is enclosed inside the data tag is the full record. It contains the field link names as a key, and the values as values of those fields in the value side. Okay. So now let us try to update a particular record. So we have got a record, and now let us try to update a record. So it is simple. I'll just remove this integration task. We'll do a simple fetch task and update it. For this example, let me get here. So here we can see the Ruby homes, right? The interested parties. It is surendra85@gmail.com for the home in San Diego. So let me just update this surendra85@gmail.com to surendra91@gmail.com. Let me just get in here. I'll write a fetch task. Let us say, so from the property list form, ID. Sorry, it's not ID. It's a field from which we are fetching. So it belongs to. It's equal to. Let me say. Sorry, I didn't choose the belongs to field. I'm really sorry. I chose the property title. Okay, we have to give the property title over here. I'm really sorry about that. Property title equal to home in San Diego. Let me say info fetch. I save it. If I execute home in San Diego, I think there is a space which is available after this. Let me get into the edit mode. Yeah, so there's a space which is available. So sometimes it's better to check and trim those spaces. Here we can see it is returning me with one record. So now I'm going to say in this record which I'm displaying, I'll be updating the interested parties field. Here we can see sorry. Let me reset it. Here we can see the interested parties. So the interested parties is Surendra Manoj 85. I'm going to update this to Surendra Manoj 91 at gmail.com. It is pretty simple. We can go ahead and say, so now this fetch is having the record ID as a value, right? So we just saw it populated as with the record ID. So from that, fetch dot interested parties. So from the record ID, I'm saying, okay, this is the particular field which I'm going to update, and I'm going to say Surendra Manoj 91 at gmail.com. So let me simply save and execute it. It's saying successfully executed. If I reload, we can see it's updated to Surendra Manoj 91 at gmail.com. So if we want to update a value in that particular, if we want to update any particular record, the first thing we have to do is to get the record ID of that record, and then we can pass on the value which we want to update that. So let us do a simple case here. So I want to update this one with a list. I want to update it with Surendra 85 at gmail.com and Surendra 91 at gmail.com. So let me construct a list here. So I'll say interested list is equal to list. Okay. I'm creating a list. If I have to add values to a list, okay, so add elements to a list, the syntax for adding is dot add. So interested list dot add. I'm giving the value Surendra Manoj 85 at gmail.com. And I'm going to add one more element to this list. Interested list dot add, and the element is going to be Surendra Manoj 91 at gmail.com. So now instead of passing a static value here, I'm going to pass the values. I'm going to pass the entire list. I'm going to say interested list. Okay. So now in this form we can see the value is Surendra Manoj 91 at gmail.com. Now let us update it one more time. Let us execute the function. It is executed successfully. I think I forgot to save it. Let me refresh. If not, I'll save and execute it one more time. Okay, so I have saved it. So here we can see the field has been updated with the entire list. Okay, so this is how we can update a particular record. And now, since we have seen how to add values to a list, now let us also understand how we can add values to a map. So let me remove this. So I hope you are understood about the fetch and update concept. I am just juggling with the objects and this update because I felt it will be better if we understand this way. Okay. So now I'll be showing you how we can add elements to a map. And let us say trusted email equal to map. So this map again, it always takes a key value pair as a element as an input. It doesn't take the single element; it takes the key value pair. So to add elements to a map, we will be using the dot put syntax. So interested email dot put, and the moment I say put, it is going to ask me a key and a value. So normally, if I want to transfer data to a let's say data to a form in creator, we will be using the field link names as key, and the value which is to be populated in that field link name will be added as a value. So let us try a live example. Let me create a record over here. Okay. So instead of getting into property list, let us go and add a buyer details. So this buyer details have the email address. So let me just pass the email address to this field and create a record over here. So I'm saying, yeah, so for here you can see there are two fields, two records. Sundamanoj85@gmail.com and arivalagan at zohocorp.com. Let me add a record. So let's say email, and it will be Surendra Manoj 91 at gmail.com. So let us insert a record. Response is equal to insert into the form candidate details. So we are going to say email equal to, okay, sorry, it's taking only the value. So here normally how the data will be transferred is in the form of a map. So let's say Surendra Manoj 91 at gmail.com. Save, execute it, and in this report we can see there's a new record which is created, and I'm really sorry, whenever we are passing the data via integration task, we used to pass this as a collection. So when we are directly doing the insert into, it is taking the fields value as it is, and it is in the backend it is converting into map. Okay. So this is how we normally execute with the this is how we normally handle with list, map, and collection. So if you have any doubts, please do let us know. In this, in the past 30 minutes, we have discussed about the basic functionalities of Deluge, how to execute a for loop, how to execute a for loop based on a condition in the records, how to what are the object types which are being handled in Deluge, how to execute or how to update a record, and how to add records to a particular form. So if you have any doubts, please do let us know in the questions tab. So our co-trainers will be actively answering those questions. So tomorrow we'll be starting with the integrations, and in integration also there are two kinds of integration. One is inbuilt integration and another one is E2E API. We'll be discussing about them, and we'll be also going in depth about the custom functions which we just now used for so long to understand the Deluge basics. And then we will be following it with reports, approval flows, and other features which are available in Creator. So today we'll be closing our session with this with these examples. Thank you.